before I can. And then if I click it too fast, it errors out. So I gotta reload.
Don't click it too fast.
That is what I should have done.
I'm just saying. That's what I've always found.
I know, right?
If you click too fast.
Yep. Okay, we should be live. It should be live, and I'm going to pause that, make sure my local mic is off. And if Marty Cannell from Rolling Dice and Taking Names speaks, people should be able to hear him now. Don't! You just don't.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Oh, if it's one thing
Fingers crossed
that Marty Cannell can do, it's not learn. All right, everybody. So, yes, we found, we believe we found the problem. It was a very obvious thing. So, I mean, if it wasn't like we had to sit there, maybe this will work. I think if that wasn't it, it's not going to work today. That's what I'm trying to say.
Hey, we got it. They can hear us. All right, we're good.
All right, cool.
Woo!
So,
finally.
Now I am.
All right.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. Marty was kind enough to join me for some live streaming fun. And what we are going to do is we has actually...
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Shut up, Pete. All right, now go ahead.
All right. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to do a recording session and try to do several episodes of TABLEscraps. And since I have a special guest, Marty, we're going to do a little different. We solicited some topics on Twitter yesterday to kind of just get some people aware of this special event so that we could have it not work and have them all leave. But so we're still going to introduce a topic, both discuss it, and then we're going to turn it over and chat with the live stream chat like we usually do. But the topics this time came from Twitter yesterday. And I have a handful or so. And what we're going to do is we're going to record until either Marty or I can't take it anymore. So whenever you're done, it's like, screw this. So, all right. So what I got to do is find them. Okay. Can you see... Marty, are you watching the live stream on the internet? And
yeah, I have it in the background.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, so you can see the live chat and everything too in real time as it
yes.
is. Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. So let me make sure my camera's recording and Audacity's recording. Let me go to this screen real quick and let me get the intro for the first episode. Today's topic. Oh, you gotta try this game. You'll hate it. Okay, then intro will come in, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm going to introduce the episode. Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of TABLEscraps, the live streaming show here where we discuss a topic about board, card, and tabletop gaming, topics that are submitted by the viewing audience, and we discuss them with the viewing audience. And actually, today is a special treat, because joining me via internet wires is good friend Marty Cannell from the Rolling Dice and Taking Names podcast. Marty, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I am excited to be here today to talk about whatever we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it's going to be really good, whatever it is we're talking about.
You have higher expectations than I do at this point. Actually, we're actually going to be talking about a subject today that at first, this subject... This is where I'll edit out part of it, so that's cool. Even when we're streaming.
I don't think you should, but go ahead.
Well, today's topic actually was submitted to us by a viewer on Twitter, David, who posts the question. He asks, "What game would you make other people play, even if you knew that they didn't like it?" And you know, when I first saw this question, I was like, "Oh, I would never do that." You know, and I almost put this question aside until I realized I've totally done that. and you were there, actually. So what we're going to do is Marty and I are going to discuss our experience with this topic a little bit. And then we're going to turn to the live chat window. And if you are in the live chat and you have a question or a comment or anything about this that you would like to contribute, make sure to add the hashtag TS for TABLEscraps to your live stream chat comment. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my web browser search tool to highlight those comments so they'll stand out to me when I turn over to the chat. But for now, let's go back to the actual thing. So I thought for sure that there's no way that I would force somebody to play a game that I know they didn't like. Because, I mean, that's the antithesis to what we try to do with this hobby. You know, we try to bring people in, be an evangelist. I'm continually, I don't know about you, Marty, but I'm continually trying to gauge I look at someone, and it's almost like a little Terminator scanner goes off, and it's like all these little things come down on the screen. It's like, this person likes worker placement, and they like this type of game, and they like cards, and they do not like dice. And then go through and scan my game library to figure out which game would be the best fit. And I'm continually trying to do that so I can be the best evangelist for the hobby I can. However, the exception to the rule is, one time I realized I did do this, was at Gen Con last year. We were in the hot games room, and a bunch of media creators were in there. We were got done with the hubbub and commotion of the exhibit hall all day. We're trying to relax, and there's a game that whenever our group of friends gets together at a convention, we love to break out and have hit the table. Do you know what that game is, Marty?
I assume it's Strike.
No. Oh, okay. Oh, that's another exception. I guess I'd make anybody play. I would make anybody play Strike as well, but that's not it. That's another story. No, it's Don't Mess with Cthulhu, the little card game, social deduction game.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And your co-host from your podcast, Tony McCree, was there, and I know that Tony hates social deduction games, but all of us were there. It's like, once a year, maybe, that all of us are together at this convention. And we coaxed Tony into playing a couple rounds of Don't Mess with Cthulhu, even though I know he hates that type of game. And I did it just because we were all there together. And he pretended to enjoy it, but... So yeah, I realized I have been a victim of doing this very thing. What about you, Marty?
It's he's for sure done.
No, is it because he suffers from analysis paralysis, or he just has no patience for people who do?
He has no patience. He has no patience for anybody that suffers analysis paralysis. And with a game like Detective, where I knew it was going to be, a few hours long, and it's like, okay, you got to check this out. I knew he liked it, but when it gets a little long in the tooth, and if you never played that game, a lot of that game is just sitting around and talking. He's not really into that. He wants to chuck dice, move, and get things going. In fact, he'll get up and start walking around the table and go to another room, go get something to eat. Is it my turn yet? And it's like, but with Detective, it's always somebody, it's never really somebody's turn because you're playing it together. And so I knew it's like, yeah, this just is not going to work that well for him. He liked it okay, but anything that has analysis paralysis or more than 2 hours, I know that I'm going to have to put up with him. And it's so funny that we both picked the same person to have this as an example with.
Yeah, I think...
That says a lot. Because I was trying to come up with an antidote with you of games you don't like. And to be honest, Chaz, I can't think of games that you don't like.
Oh.
Or I can maybe think of a game maybe you said you didn't care for, but I can't think of a genre or group of games that you just like. I don't really care for this type of game.
Yeah, I like to consider myself actually a bit of an omni gamer, not because I want the prestige of having that label, but because I'm willing to I like to think that I can find something to enjoy in most any game, and there are some genres where I will like more games in that genre than others. Sometimes it's hard to pick one out, but yeah, I very rarely, I think, have a gaming experience where I'm like, this is kill me now. I just can't stand this. But you make a good point that both of our stories revolve around ruining Tony's day, which makes me wonder: is it more about the game or is it more about the people? Are there?
No, it's more about the people, 100%. Well, let me ask you this: Do you know of a particular type of game that I'm not a huge fan of? And there's one, and I don't know if I've ever told you. If you ever listen to our show, I don't know if you've ever heard, we have like a podcast that we do. If you've ever listened to it, there's a couple of examples of games in there that have a certain element to it that I just don't really care for.
Well, let me think. See, Tony's easier to pick out because he makes a bigger deal about it. You, though...
You're stuck. So we don't have a lot of dead air. Let me give you the name of a game and see if you're good. There's a certain element of the game I don't care for.
Okay.
Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Oh.
Or however you pronounce it.
Oh, no, I not only know this, I've experienced this firsthand with you. It's the push your luck element. I have seen you... I have seen you literally get this close to legitimately losing your temper at Quacks of Quedlinburg. It was, and is it because the amount of risk, or is it just because you feel you personally push yourself too far?
No, it's the amount. Well, it's the amount of risk. So I am. My college degree is in engineering, so I'm always running through math and stuff. And so, if you've never played the game before, the concept is you have cardboard chits in a bag that you're trying to pull out and put on the board. Some of those chits are considered bad, poison, and there's values on each of the chips. And if you pull out those bad chips and they exceed 7, then your turn ends, and it's not a good thing. So over the course of the game, you're putting more chits into your bag to where there's a lot more of the good stuff in there than the bad stuff. So I know that there's been times when literally I've had, there's 10 chits left in here. I know that of what I have on the board, there's only one that can make me bust and go over 7. 10% chance, let's go in. There it is. I have actually played Quacks before. Last time I played, I got to play with Rob Davio, and I told Rob, watch this. 1 out of 10 chance. 1 out of 10 chance. I reached in the bag. I didn't even look at the chit. I pulled it, just hooked it to him. Did I bust? He died laughing and went, yep, you busted. I went, there it is.
If that was anybody else telling that story, I wouldn't believe them. But it's you. So yeah, I agree. I'm going to pause right here. We're about to go over to the live stream chat, but there's a setting when I go full screen to you. There's no audio, and I need to the thing that fixed the audio in our split screen. I need to do the same thing real quick. It'll take 10 seconds. Not even that.
I'm going to say some words right now.
If you can hear Marty when he's full screen now, that will solve that problem.
Check 1, 2, check.
Okay, so we're back to split screen. Okay. So yes, yeah. Anybody else, I wouldn't believe it, but yeah, I'll totally see that. And I wish, well, actually, when at Gen Con coming up, or next time I see Rob at a convention, I'm gonna have to ask him just how badly you lost your temper there, because I'm sure there's more to this story than you're willing to share.
Well, no, I tried to be. It was with a lot of Rob's friends, so I tried to be professional and nice and stuff. But underneath, I was just seething. And here's the thing: Quacks is a great game. I know it won like awards, and people love the game. I've got nothing against the game itself. It's a fantastic game, but it has one element in it that I'm just not a huge fan of. That's all.
All right. Let's turn to the chat and see what people are saying here. Okay, so Peter joins us to say, the only time something like this comes to mind is if we played incorrectly or missed something really big last time. So, actually, Marty, let me ask you, in your experience, if you have a game where you get the rules wrong and it ruins the experience and people that played it hate the game, when you discover that correction, do you tell the people, hey, let's give this game a second chance, or do you let it just die?
No, I actually give a second. I haven't given the game the respect that it should get. And if people did, lots of times I'm the one bringing the game to the table. And if it's one of those things, people just didn't care for it. I try to explain. Actually, I can't think of a good example, but I have done this before where we played a game and we thought, man, something just seems off. The next day, it was on our local game group, and we had a chat going, and a guy went and read the rule and checked something and went, oh, we were totally playing this wrong. And all of us went, oh, well, that makes the game so much better. Everybody had enough experience as gamers to realize that's it. That one little tweak that we got wrong makes the game so much better. So luckily, I've got a lot of open-minded friends that if they have a bad experience and then realize the rule is wrong, they're more receptive to play again.
That's a good approach there, I think. Okay, Kabuki Kid joins us to say that her rule of thumb is to never make anyone play something that they aren't interested in. You know, if your friend isn't having fun, how can you truly have fun? I think that's a really, really good point.
Just to see them go through misery, sometimes fun. Maybe you're a sadist. I don't know.
Okay, I will admit, with some of the games that I've been known to pick up at thrift stores, sometimes there is a part of me it's like, we've got to play this because it looks terrible. So, but that's an extreme case. You know, that's because I know what we're getting into. So I think that's a third example of when I will ruin someone's day with games. Wow, I might be a worse person than I realized. So let's quickly move on to the next comment here.
Hold on a second. There's a comment in here saying that when you switch scenes, to me, there's like a 2-second cutout of vocals.
Okay.
Or audio.
Okay. I might just need to not do that on the fly. We might need to coordinate it more if we do it at all. So we might be stuck with both of us on screen for the most part.
Okay.
Which is sad because I was using the cutaway to you to go and capture the screenshot of the comments for when I edit the video later to hide it. But anyway. Okay. Christopher Hickman, who I know is a person I grew up with, takes the time to comment that he already tried to make me play a game called Damage Report, but I weaseled out of it.
Yes. Is that the game? Is that the real-time game?
Yes, has all the sand timers.
Yeah.
To it?
Yes.
Now, to be fair, Christopher, when you finally did play it with another person, I believe the other person wished that they had weaseled out of it too. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Damage Report. I'm just saying that the experience is that perhaps in this case, you're the one who is the problem here, and is making people play games that they don't care for. So,
Damage Report is one of the first games that I got excited about in the first Origins I went to, 2011 or so. I remember going with my family. We demoed that game, and we thought this is like the coolest thing ever, having the real-time element. So I still have that on my shelf downstairs. I never play it, but it has sentimental value as one of those things that me and my family sat around the demo table at Origins and tried out.
Yeah. You know, you're talking about games, one game element that you don't like, that, you know, I'm discovering that I think real time is an element that I'm finding I like less and less each time I play a game that has real time elements to it. But did
you ever play XCOM?
I did. XCOM was okay because it split it up. But Space Cadets Dice Duel, I want to like a lot more than I find I actually do. I really love the concept, but I don't know. Anyway.
The most recent one I played was Kitchen Rush.
Kitchen Rush was okay. Kitchen Rush was a little bit different because everybody kind of was doing these tasks. I don't know. It wasn't as much mayhem, I think. It was more like you're coordinating. But anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic here. Let's get back to a few more chat questions before we move on to the next episode here. Christian joins us to say, I always try to get people to try a game at least once, even if I don't think that they're going to like it. So, boy, see, that's something that I think is difficult to do. If I know someone isn't going to like a game, I don't usually take the try it, you might like it, eat your vegetables approach. I think that can backfire more than it goes well. What do you think?
Again, I got somebody, my co-host Tony, that I know there's just a lot of games he doesn't like. Don't Mess with the Cthulhu was a prime example. I said, look, I know you don't like social deduction games, but try this one and just see if you like it. And I remember he was being nice that day, but I remember he said it wasn't as painful as other social deduction games. But I keep doing it because you keep hoping that sometimes you feel like people are missing out on something that they may like. And it's like, just give it a shot, But I guess just after time and time again, people just realize, I just know I'm not going to like that game. Plus, you may have a mental block to it.
That is true.
Hey, Marty, I got this game where you're going to pull chits out of a bag, and something bad may happen, but it's fun. I'm going to go, no.
Okay, so what we've learned today, Marty has a bit of baggage about Quacks of Quedlinburg. So fair enough. Okay, let's move on to a couple more here. We're a little behind, and we're kind of getting in our groove. So let's get a couple more.
What'd you call me?
Getting in our groove. We're a little behind.
I thought a little behind. Okay.
More to edit out. Okay. Trevin joins us to say, maybe if the game is a favorite and it's the one day a year that you play it because it's your only chance to do so, like getting to play the game my wife hates on my birthday or something like that. Ooh. Well, that coincides with my example of at Gen Con. How often are, this group of friends that only see each other at conventions, how often are we together? Are we willing to take one for the team to play something that the rest of us enjoy? And are there games that you save for special occasions, Marty?
Typically, yes. So longer games. So when you and I and some of our other friends get together at conventions, we always talk about before we get together, okay, guys, what's the one game that we would love to play together? And typically it's going to be maybe a longer type game, 3 to 4 hours. Prime example of that was last year at Origins when Jamie Kagi from Secret Cabal really wanted to play Thief. Is that how you pronounce it? Thief. And so I sat down with him and Rodney Smith and some of Jamie's friends, and we actually got to sit down and play it. And that's one of those things that, number one, I would rarely get to play here, and I would never get a chance to play it with, my friends that I only see at conventions. So for sure, there are games that I think that maybe only come out, at certain times with certain people.
Okay. Real quick here, I'm going to get another screenshot. Apparently, I can't do it behind the scenes while I cut to you because it affects the audio, so I got to do it right now. But I'm getting another screenshot of questions for later. And we're going to take one more question here in this episode before we move on to the next episode. We're going to take our last question here from Halo X30, who says, a friend of mine forgot to explain a rule in Monsterlands. I tuned out and left the table before the game was over because the exclusion of that rule just totally made me zone out. And that it kind of reminds me of what you said with Tony with how he gets up and walks around the table with games that have a lot of AP. He just is out, zones out of it. I try, when that happens to me, when there's a game where I know, oh my gosh, I don't care for this game at all, I try not to zone out, and I try to give it my all for the remainder of the game. But that can be very difficult to do sometimes, I think. There's sometimes, tell me, Marty, if this matches your experience. Are there certain groups of gamers that you play with that if they're just not feeling the game, they will start to get more disruptive than other groups and will kind of veer off in left field, and that if you don't pick the right game for them, it's just going to implode on itself before it's over?
Well, yeah, we've already talked about him. Aside from Tony, no. Seriously? Wow. That sounds horrible. He's not here to defend himself, so that sounds really bad. No, so I'm very fortunate that our whole game group, including Tony, is very receptive. Even when halfway through a game, it's like, it's just not clicking with me or whatever, people will still finish out the game. And I try to be the same way. It's just being respectful to the people around you that are playing the game with you too. So I'm very fortunate to have people that aren't really like that.
That's a good point. Okay, so it's fortunate that you don't encounter that too often, but it's unfortunate that we are out of time for this episode. So, like I said, this episode there were some technical difficulties when we got started, so we kind of have been getting into our groove, but. Don't go anywhere, because what Marty and I are going to do, we're going to wrap up this episode, but we're going to keep streaming, and we're going to roll right into another couple episodes with some more questions and stuff. So stay here. But first, I'm going to actually close out the episode. So,
Chaz, hold on just a second. Your audio on my side's really bad. Did something change?
Has it always been bad, or did it suddenly get bad?
No, it just went bad when you said, I'm cutting to go grab another screenshot, and then it went bad and it never got better.
Huh.
You sound like you're talking on a regular phone to me right now. So I don't know if it sounds that way out there. If not, I can live with it.
Okay, hang on 1 second here. Did my settings... it might be that it might be grabbing my audio off my webcam instead of the nice Yeti mic.
Okay.
Hang on, let me check.
That's what it sounds like.
Microphone Yeti, output stream only. The Yeti is the audio input for the cam link. And let me just check this setting. Yeti.
What about the Skype input?
Oh, the Skype input. Oh, let me see if I can break our thing here. Hold on. Skype settings, audio, microphone. No, it's the Yeti as well.
Okay. All right. So something's just odd. So maybe it's just our connection or something. So we're good.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Nope, no problem.
So let me. Okay. So fortunately, we are out of time for this episode. But I want to thank everybody for watching, and you are more than welcome to continue this discussion down in the comments below. What are some games that you actually are willing to force on people even though they don't like it? Or is that a cardinal sin when it comes to gaming, in your opinion? Is that a line you would never cross? If, why, or why not? Let me know down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation there. But until then, I've been Chaz Marler, along with my co-host for this episode, Marty Cannell from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. And Marty, if you want to give a cute sign-off or tell people where they can find you, then we'll wrap up.
Oh, sure. If you want to go check out our podcast, you can do so at rolldicetakenames.com or just find us on Utunes. There's a new thing out there called Utunes. There's Utunes, A-Tunes, O-Tunes, and iTunes. Just pick any one of those. And you can find us on Twitter at Dice and Names. I really enjoyed this. Thanks for having me so much, Chaz. Let's do it again sometime.
That is totally why I had you muted for the first 20 minutes. Okay, so until next time, I've been Chaz Marler with Marty Cannell. Thanks. I'll talk to you again soon. And closing credits. Okay, cool beans. Okay, what we're going to do, regular viewers know the routine. I'm just going to save my Audacity file. What?
Okay, somebody just said they love my listening face. It's one of those things that I'm staring at the camera, and it's like, do I nod? Do I smile? I don't know. So I'm sorry about that. I'll try to change it up or something.
Marty, you have a great resting listening face. So this is episode 63, saving my WAV file. Saving, exporting. So my audio sounds really crappy to you, Marty?
It does.
Okay. I'm afraid.
Again, I can live with it, but it just changed.
Okay.
I just want to make sure it wasn't being streamed out that way.
Okay.
That's all.
If it is being streamed out, I'm capturing my audio locally too, so when we make the edited version, I'll still have the nice audio version. I did notice a certain point in the broadcast whenever I talked to you, you started kind of going like this to listen. It's like, oh, that must have been when it went bad. Okay. Okay, starting up my second recording here. Okay, scrolling down.
What's the question here?
What is the question here? That is the question, isn't it? Oh, this question is going to be, what Marvel character would you want to play a game with, and what game would that be? Have you come up with any answers to this? Finally, yes! Okay, because I haven't. So this is going to be one of those episodes where I just went off the cuff here. What we do need is we need a good intro line. Today's topic, blah. I think I got one. I think I got one as good as it's going to get. So, okay. I am going to go full screen to me first. So I can do this. Actually, I guess that doesn't matter. Never mind. Okay. Today's topic. That was the... No. Thank you. It was Amazon. Okay. Today's topic, and that was the last time I played checkers with the Hulk. Okay. Doot, 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 doot. Oh, actually, I'm still gonna have you away. A marvelous topic. All right. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of TABLEscraps, the live streaming show here where we discuss a topic about card, tabletop, and board games with a live streaming audience. And today, I'm not only discussing with the live stream, I'm also with my guest here via YouTube internet prowess.
Him's got a name.
Sorry. I'm also joined by Marty Cannell from the Rolling Dice and Taking Names podcast. Marty, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Chaz. How are you? How is the weather in Oregon?
It's marvelous.
Awesome.
Okay, so Marty, your mission today
Yes.
is to help me discuss a topic that was submitted by a viewer, and that topic is thus. The JTG Club channel, whose tweet you should see up on the screen right now, wants to know, what Marvel character would you want to play a game with, and what game would that be? And before we started recording, we chatted about this a little bit, and you actually have come up with an answer, whereas I have not. So I'm going to let you take it away and discuss this first before we go to the live chat.
Yes, it's going to be Checkers with the Hulk.
Oh, that's... I will give you $10 if that was actually what your answer was before I made that joke.
That would have been cool, wouldn't it? No, that was not it. Here is my answer, Chaz.
Yes.
And mine's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I want to sit down with Professor X and play the mind so I can finally win that game.
Bravo. Bravo. And for anyone who doesn't know, we'll explain how the mind works.
Oh, you want me to do it? Okay. The Mind is a very popular game that came out last year. It's now currently being published in the U.S. by Pandasaurus Games, and it's also at Target for like $12. I'm going to just drop all this Mind knowledge on you. This game is played by there's a deck of cards numbered from 1 to 100, and at the beginning of the game, everybody's going to get a card, and the goal of the game is to play cards in ascending order. Sounds easy, right?
Yes.
Except for the fact that you can't talk and you don't get to show each other your cards or give any indication of what kind of cards you have. So the goal is to, like, kind of through eye contact and everything, play cards in the right order. Like, somebody may, immediately just play one. Somebody who has the 100 is just going to sit back and not do anything because they know they're the highest one. But if you get through that round, then 2 cards are dealt out, and you try to get through throws. And if you fail, you lose a life. You lose all your lives, you lose the game. And depending on the number of players, it goes up to, I can't remember how many hands it is, 8, 9, 10. It depends on the number of players. Having 6, 7, 8 cards in your hand, everybody has those, and you're trying to put all those in ascending order. So the joke is, if I play with Professor X, who can read minds and influence people, we can just sit there and just win the whole thing.
Oh, I get it. That makes much more sense than what I was
thinking. You get it? You didn't get it when I said it? And you call yourself a comic book aficionado.
I also call myself Larry, but that has...
That's weird. I do too.
Do you also call me Larry or call yourself Larry?
I call you Larry.
Oh, okay.
You look like a Larry.
Okay. Well, we have an outtake, so we'll just move on. So, all right. So, that's a very thorough, much longer explanation than I was expecting for how the mind works. That explanation took longer than a game of the mind actually takes.
Do you want me to go back to Checkers with the Hulk?
We might want to just record that later, as maybe we'll swap that out. I haven't come up with one specific to Marvel. What I was going to do is, before we opened this up to the live streaming chat, what I was going to do is I was going to open this up to any DC character or any fictional characters from any source of media. Because I know I was asked a similar question on a podcast a few years ago. What fictional characters would you like to play a game with, and what game? And actually, the people are the same, but the game has changed a little bit. I would play Don't Mess with Cthulhu, actually, of all games, with the Ghostbusters. I think that would be a fantastic game to play with them, because you not only have the bluffing and the character interaction, their interest in the paranormal would make the game take it just to a whole new level. So that would be my cheating pick. That's not actually necessarily Marvel, unless Disney.
You're right. It is cheating.
Yeah, I don't.
Hold on. Let me look down and read this tweet. What Marvel character? What Marvel character? Now hold on. Let me do a quick look here to see if Ghostbusters is in the Marvel universe. No.
Well, wait. Give it 15 minutes and Disney will own them. So, okay, we'll just...
Good point.
Okay. Let's try to salvage this episode by going to the chat and seeing what some of the people in chat land...
This is gold! What do you mean salvage? This is viral, baby!
Join us for tomorrow's episode for a 37-minute introduction to the mind and demonstration on how it plays. All right. We have...
You asked! You asked.
Let's go now to a comment. Let's see what your opinion is on these suggestions from viewers. We have Quan7UM Jack, who says that they would play Wizard's Chess with Ant-Man. Now, you can't see the chat, so that's A-N-T man, not A-U-N-T. So it's not like they're playing chess with Mrs. Doubtfire. It's actually Ant-Man. And Wizard...
Hello!
You gotta not do things like that. Okay, so have you ever played Wizard's Chess?
I have not.
Okay.
I played Battle Chess on the video game, but not Wizard's Chess.
I have not played Wizard's Chess either. Just because I was that's kind of good because I was thinking if you had played Wizard's Chess and I hadn't, I would have to ask you how to play it, and then 40 minutes later we could get to the next chat comment. But fortunately, since neither of us have played Wizard's Chess, let's just continue on to the next one from Christian Kelberg, who says Yenga or Jenga. I think there's a typo here. Jenga with the Hulk would be funny. See,
yes,
that's oh my gosh. That's
much better than the checkers. Can we start over again and do this again?
That. I am tempted to go back and redo the intro and steal that from Christian, but no, well, just Christian, you win. You came up with a much better intro than I did.
Congratulations, Christian. You just won the prize that Chaz has given out for this episode.
Yeah, you win no thing. So you win my endearing respect to the end of the episode. And then it resets back to loathing. Okay, let's continue on. Another suggestion from Quan7UM Jack is Yggdrasil with Thor. Which, see, the chat comment is better at coming up with ideas.
Yeah. Yes,
so,
yes. The whole Viking
theme. Have you played Yggdrasil?
No. But you know what? Been just as good as like Blood Rage.
Oh, yes, that would be a good one as well. Blood Rage or the what's the Viking?
Oh, that would be a great one.
Gray Fox Games published it.
The one with the dice.
It's not so easy. This is really good, Marty. I think this is going well.
Oh my God! I keep saying Raiders of the North Sea.
Raiders of the North Sea.
No, it's not Raiders of the North Sea. That's not it. That's the Renegade game.
Oh, yes, the other one then that's like Raiders of the North Sea, but
it's from Gray Fox Games.
The one that would remind you of Raiders of the North Sea.
I have it downstairs. I like the game.
Obviously,
it's a worker placement with dice.
Obviously,
somebody's probably yelling it in the chat right now, Chaz. Just look at the chat.
Okay. Well, that was painful enough, so I'm not going to go with what my follow-up question was, which was I was going to ask you if you knew how to spell Yggdrasil. So we'll just, unless you want bonus points, try and spell Yggdrasil.
Why? You get the next letter.
Oh, well, I have it in the chat range. I mean...
Champions of Midgard! Champions of Midgard! Somebody said it.
No, that's not it.
Thank you, Cam.
Thank you very much. Okay.
That's it.
My chat jumped here real quick. Let me go down here. No prize. Where'd Yggdrasil go? Okay. Oh. Okay. Let's go to a new person. Real quick here, actually, before it scrolls away again, I'm going to grab a copy of my chat window. So I'll have all of these little questions to put in post. Thank you for your patience there, internet land. And 2. Thank you. Got a plus in there. Thank you. Okay. Blorp. Halo suggests I would play social deduction games with Loki. Playing a social deduction game with a trickster would be hilarious. Wow. Yeah, again, yet another,
good.
really good suggestion. Much better suggestion from the live streaming chat than anything I was able to come up with for the last day and a half while I pondered this question. So,
That's good.
okay. Christian mentions, no, my real answer would be Hail Hydra with the Avengers or at least Captain America. Oh, it's so obvious. See, I was going to suggest Twilight Struggle with Captain America, but see, even that doesn't really make sense. Hail Hydra is a much better pick. Much better.
You can get super thematic and play as the Avengers and play Thanos Rising.
Oh, yes, that's true too. That would also be a good choice. Before we go to the next chat question real quick, Marty, what was your impression of the Thing a couple of years ago when they had Captain America temporarily, subconsciously become a Hydra agent for a few issues?
Wait a minute, are we talking about the Thing or Captain America?
Captain America. Did I say the Thing?
You said the Thing.
Edit.
Ben Grimm.
Edit points. We're gonna move on.
Okay, so I was not a fan of that, but nobody was a fan. It's like, but here's the thing: I don't know how it resolved. How did it resolve? And if nobody wants to spoil it, then stop listening.
Oh, I think it was.
Was he a real Hydra agent?
I think they made it an implanted fake memory or something like that. They retconned
Okay.
it. Yeah, they salvaged it somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that wouldn't have been right at all.
No, that wouldn't. No. Okay. Let's continue on to the next suggestion from Action Troll, who says, I would play Odin's Ravens with Thor, or maybe Skull with Ghost Rider.
Oh,
the chat is...
That's good.
Chat is on fire today. Have you played Odin's Ravens?
I have.
Okay.
A couple years ago at BGG Con. Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, I love it. Odin's Ravens, the Osprey Games. I was going to say pheasant, but no, it's a bird, not a pheasant. Osprey Games version of Odin's
Pheasant Games?
Pheasant Games, yeah. But Odin's Ravens, I really enjoy. And Skull, I actually have never had a chance to play Skull yet. I have seen Skull played next to me at least a half a dozen times. Have you played Skull?
It's a fun game. Oh. I have several times. It's one of those local games. It's one of those games that locally a lot of people play around here for a quick filler game.
Ah, okay. Cool. You
want me to explain how it works?
No. Maybe that will be like our extended footage, our director's cut. It will.
Okay.
For now, though, let's continue on with Quan7UM Jack also mentions, get the Avengers together and play code names. Oh, so now that's a very interesting one, because the code names, not the code, the team code names, that famous comic book.
Yes.
The Avengers is such a dysfunctional superhero team. I could see a game of code names just erupting in, just a huge fight. And, you got to get Jarvis involved to break it up. You got other problems.
They could play code names Marvel.
Oh, wow. Okay, though that clinches it. Everybody but me is on fire today. So that's fantastic. Let's continue on.
Chaz, did you know that the Ghostbusters are not part of the Marvel Universe?
What? Yeah, everybody is on fire except me today. I think I can think of a really witty comeback to this. Nope. Okay. Let's continue on. Let's take like 3 more here. Next one comes from Halo, who says, another thing you could do is play a new version of Secret Hitler called Secret Thanos with the Avengers. If Thanos wins, they get dusted again. And then he has some quotes, I don't want to go. So that's really high.
So you have to hug somebody, though, as you say it.
Yeah, I don't want to go. Yeah, exactly. A lot of hugging, a lot of tears. That's really high stakes, though, for a tabletop game, is everybody evaporating.
Yes.
All right, let's get a couple more here. Here's an excellent, oh my gosh, the winning entry from today is going to go to Cam Mengel, who recommends Just One with Groot. So, Just One is a game where there's a secret word that you're trying to get the other players to guess. And you have these little whiteboards, but you can only write one word as a clue to get them to guess the keyword. So if you can only write one thing, Groot would be fantastic to play that with.
Well played. That's good. Came out champions in mid-card and Just One with Groot.
Yeah.
That's good.
Absolutely. And
It's good, Cam.
I think, yes, absolutely. I don't think anyone's going to be able to top that, especially me with my performance this episode. So I think we're going to have to call it here. But if you have an idea for a Marvel character or any fictional character, the gates are open, the rules are open to allow any, even people like from Paramount or other studios that make movies, including the Ghostbusters. Anyway, gates are open for anybody. Let me know down in the comments who you would play a game with and what game that would be and why. And then also maybe while you're typing things up and you're doing all this work for me, if you want to do my tax returns, you're also welcome to take a stab at that as well. So let me know down in the comments, all that stuff, and I'll send you a list of my deductions. In the meantime, I've been Chaz Marler, joined by my good friend Marty Cannell. And Marty, real quick, tell us where we can find you on the interwebs.
Oh, sure. You can find our website at rolldicetechnames.com. You can go listen to our podcast through iTunes or any other podcasting source. And if you want to, you can follow us on Twitter. And if you ever need to learn how to play the mind, just ask.
All right. Well, before we go longer, I'm going to have to cut it off there then. But I want to thank everybody for joining me. And until next time, no, I just said that. I just did the outro. You're throwing me off, Marty. The outros are what's throwing off my
Hey, if you want to, you can go listen to us on iTunes or any other podcast source and follow us on Twitter at Dyson Names. And if you want to learn how to play the mind, just let me know.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you for joining me. And thank you to the chat for all of the participation. Till next time, I've been Chaz Marler. Talk to you again soon. Okay.
I've just added about 2 hours to Chaz's editing time with this stuff. This is the last time I'll ever be on. So, there.
Okay, let me export this audio. That was going to be episode 64.
How long do you have? Does this take like a minute, or are you going to be done in 30 seconds?
The exporting the audio will take 3 seconds. However,
okay.
I was going to suggest what I was going to do is I was going to go get a beverage.
That's me.
Okay, let's keep we're going to just keep the live stream going. And so, Marty, you go get your beverage real quick, and then I'll go grab mine real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll do another episode. How's that sound? Or
sounds good. So I'll be right back, filling my rolling dice and taking names mason jar with iced tea.
All right, so getting my audio set up, got my camera prepped. Okay, guys, while we wait for Marty to get back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to the where our chat is, and I'm actually going to just chat with you guys until Marty gets back for a couple of minutes. So if there's anything that you want to chat about, let me know. And I lied, Marty. I have a beverage, but it's empty now and I need another beverage. Okay. Hey, I want to thank everybody while I'm waiting for some chat stuff to come in. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Today has really been a bit of an experiment. Marty and I have had this idea for a while, and it took a couple of different tries of behind the scenes, just offline live streams to get all the settings right, because the software is really fickle. And it sounds like there's still a few kinks to work out. So I appreciate everybody who's hanging in there and watching. When I go to edit these videos, I don't know how well they're going to edit together. But hopefully I'll have everything that can splice back in. Okay. Looney Tunes, don't touch the set. Yes, don't touch the settings. I will not touch any more settings. Marty's eyes are magical. We'll have to make sure to let him know that. What are the beverages? Oh, hey. Okay, well, just in case you know, what I'm drinking, this is, of course, not a sponsor. I crushed the can, but I am drinking Arrowhead Sparkling Water. And, oh, actually, you know what? While Marty's gone, I can take advantage of this. Bloop. Actually, I got to hide. I can remove this guy. Okay, so yeah, basically, if any of you follow Chris, I want to say Christian Gilbert, but no, he's one of the people in the chat here. Take Your Chits, a gentleman named Christian. He always tweets on Twitter about how he loves LaCroix water drinks, and I also agree. I don't really care for syrupy cola stuff. I haven't been able to drink that since like high school. So I've been drinking a lot of water. My next one is a cranberry one, and that's the one I'm going to open right now. And I guess I did have a beverage tucked away there. When I put my green can back down, I moved some stuff, and I saw this red one. Ooh, that's good. Anyway, so the last thing people want to see in a live stream is someone talking about and drinking water. So let me move on. Okay. Oh, hey, today is Christopher Hickman and I's Facebook friendiversary. That's awesome. Okay, we talked about the beverage. Another comment about the beverage. Wow, lots of beverage questions. Kabuki asks, what is your favorite game that you played in the last couple of months? Oh no, I'm on the spot. I played something just recently I loved. Oh my gosh. Oh no, I'm drawing a blank. And that's not fair. I played Quacks of Quedlinburg, actually. I have been playing with my family. Every time that we sit down to play, we've been playing Quacks of Quedlinburg. Been playing that one a lot recently. Okay, so that's the one off the top of my head that's coming at the end of my mind. Oh, here's Marty again. And in case, there you go. Marty, I'm just answering a couple of questions, and then I'm going to go take a quick break. Peter asks, when's the next Thrift Sift? Oh, man. So what I want to do, actually, let me rephrase that. I have about 3 or 4 scripts for Thrift Sift episodes started. I'd say they're about a third done. But I've run into... I want to produce a Thrift Sift episode every 1 or 2 months, and have it kind of on a regular schedule. But I've wanted that for over a year now. It's one of the things where I want to do it right. I want to really have fun with it, and I don't want to rush it. Because the last thing I want to do is make one and wish, and then later realize all these jokes and stuff I should have done instead. The one I did for the Amway game, the one made by Amway, which was Circle Up, afterwards in the comments, some people made some jokes, and there's some other things I realized after I made it. I realized I rushed that episode. I should have taken twice as long to produce it, and I actually produced that episode just to get one out there. So I'm kind of trying. I know who Fluffy Tail Studios is. Okay, well, Marty, since you're back, I'm going to go get a change of shirt and a beverage here. And I will be right back. So everybody, Mark.
Hey! So ask me some questions. Here we go. I did change shirts. And the reason why we do that, so it makes it look like we haven't recorded these all in a row. Because otherwise it's like, you guys just did it in one setting. It's just kind of make it look different. I mean, it's kind of the same way. Like when shows like Price is Right shoots, they shoot multiple episodes in the day, and all the hosts and everything, they change clothes between each take so that you really can't tell it. It acts like we're professional, but we're really not. All right, so what kind of questions we got here? Somebody said, maybe talking Chaz, you should try Tutor. I have tried Tutor. I thought it was pretty good. Tutor's one of those that was hard for me to keep up with the rings, because I kept, so the idea is you put rings on fingers that you earn over the course of the game, and where you put them on the cardboard stand, they activate different abilities, and I could never remember what combination gave me what, and I was always having to refer to it, and then look at where, you put your workers out at these tables so they can do things for you. I don't know. To me, it was just almost, there was just too much going on. Let's see. Oh, how sweet is the tea? Okay, so here's the thing. I'm trying to cut back on sugar, so this is unsweet tea, except I sweeten it with Sweet and Low. Typically, I like it somewhat sweet. Like if I go to McDonald's and they have sweet tea, I'll do half and half. Their tea is really, really sweet. So, and then I cut the calories too by doing half and half. But yeah. I just answered this question. What are you drinking? Oh, I'm caught up. So there you go. Anything else going on? We do have, while he's gone, I'm going to promote. We got our big Squirrely episode that's coming out on Tuesday. This is where we do our year-end awards for all the board games in the previous year. We edit it and make it like the Academy Awards, so we have a lot of guests come on. We have 17 guests, other media people coming on, presenting the awards, and we have some of the winners there to accept the award. It's always fun. I just finished editing it today. It's about 1 hour and 22 minutes long. It's probably our longest one, and it was a beast to edit. It was like 12 to 14 hours to edit this thing, but it's always fun. People like Chaz submitted a segment. It's always fun to work with all these different people.
What you talking about?
I was just catching up on stuff. They were asking about us changing shirts and why we do it. North Carolina is the best place in the country. Explain why. Well, a lot of people must think that because a lot of people move here from the Northeast, and I think it's mainly for the weather. Our winters, we have 4 seasons, but the winters aren't that brutal. The summers can get really kind of humid, but we have a real spring and a real fall, and so people just tend to like the weather. And within the state, we have the beach, and we also have mountains. So, like right where I'm in Charlotte, I'm 3 hours to the beach, 3 hours to the mountains, which is really cool.
Huh. That's actually really similar to Oregon. Or I'm about 1.5 hours away from the mountains, 1.5 hours away from the coast. And I think we're farther north, so our summers aren't as nice as yours. But we get the seasons, and it's real mild, usually during the winter. We had snow, I think, twice this year, and it was gone by the next day.
Somebody said, well, we have a red carpet at the Squirrelies. It's actually a brown carpet. Are you going to change into UNC shirt? All right, so that's one of my local gamers that's in the chat that is a Tar Heel fan, and I graduated from NC State, and there would never, ever be a UNC Tar Heel shirt in this house. Ever.
I'm hearing low audio for me. Oh, okay, hear me again. Okay, it must have been something else. Okay, are we ready to start the next episode, Marty?
I am.
All right.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me let me look at my feed on Skype. Did I move or something?
Why?
My head's more cut off. No, it's fine there. Okay, it's just the way you sized the window. Never mind. Where my head's right at the top of the screen, but that's just the way you sized it. Okay.
I think that's, yeah. All right.
What's this topic, by the way, in case I don't have an answer yet?
How do you feel about games that can run a long time, like 3 or more hours?
I don't. It's going to be easy.
Okay. Okay. Let me go to me. Hang on. I think I heard someone knock on my door real quick. Marty, entertain everyone. I'll be right back.
All right, I'm going to entertain everybody. What should we do? Are you going to Dice Tower West? I am not too far for me to go unless that was for Chaz. I don't know if Chaz is going or not. Chaz is going to Gamma, so maybe he'll hang around and stay around for that. Am I hitting up BGG Spring? I am not. Chaz is going to be there. Chaz is now working more with BGG, so he'll be more at the BGG events than what I will. I am trying to maybe see about possibly doing something with BGG for Origins or Gen Con. Both Chaz and I are talking to the powers that be at BGG and see if maybe we could do some things that we did at the Dice Tower Con last year live stream, maybe for the BGG stream.
Absolutely. Okay. Am I interrupting or are we ready to go?
Okay, Trevin, I wasn't going to ask that question. I'm going to now. I'm ready to go.
Okay. What question?
Nothing.
Okay. Let's get started here. Record. Okay. And recording. Today's topic is taking forever. And do. All right. Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of TABLEscraps, the show here where we discuss a topic about board, card, and tabletop games with the live streaming YouTube audience. And today, I have another live audience member who's going to be joining me here to discuss the topic, and that person is Mr. Marty Cannell of the Rolling Dice and Taking Names podcast. Thank you for joining us, Marty.
Hey, Chaz, how's the weather in Oregon?
The weather in Oregon is fantabulous. And, you know, the only thing that would make it better is if you and Trevin were here to enjoy it with me. All right.
I wish we were.
Marty, we are going to discuss a topic related to tabletop gaming that was submitted by the viewing audience, and then we're going to turn it over to the YouTube streaming audience to chat with them about it a little bit more. And today's topic is this one from Sakura Draven, who asks, how do you feel about games that can run a long time, like 3 or more hours?
Mm-hmm.
So, Marty, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I am A-okay with it if the game is fun. And I know that is such a blah answer, but it's true. So one of the recent games I played that was more than that was a Game of Thrones, the second edition with the expansion Mother of Dragons.
Uh-huh.
And I had an amazing time. But that's a game that you're super engaged with the players and the game for 3 to 4 hours, so the time kind of flew. I feel that way. Mansions of Madness, second edition, can have some scenarios that run long. A-okay with that. But then other games, if it gets a little long in the tooth and I get tired of playing, then I wear out pretty quickly. The example of that was, it's been a couple years since I played it, but Twilight Imperium, the previous edition. Mm. That game, honestly, about 4 or 5 hours, I was like done. I was like, somebody just please win this game. I became disengaged from the game. I still played, but like when it wasn't my turn, I was like, oh my gosh, just somebody please win and hurry up and win. So it all depends on the game, and that's a horrible answer for this type of question, but that's exactly what it is for me.
Okay. And I'm seeing little things in the chat saying that the audio is low. I'm not sure. I didn't touch anything. I touched nothing. I step where you step. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything about it. I am capturing my audio locally, though. So when the produced versions of these episodes go up, we'll have the nice first generation audio to work from. Hopefully it'll fix itself. Hopefully it's just related to internet lag. But I'm aware of the chats. And if I think of anything I can do, I will. But I'm just not going to touch anything for fear of breaking it. Okay.
But I sound fine.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you're fine.
Well, that's all that matters.
All right, moving on. That's funny because I rarely get to play a 3+ hour game. It's kind of a rare treat for me. And the most recent game like that I've been able to play actually was Twilight Imperium 4th edition. And between learning the rules and playing the game, we played that game for 9 hours. And we still didn't get done. We set a hard stop time limit. I think we got to the 8th of 10 rounds. But 9, and it kind of, I don't want to say flew by, but the game, it was, we were engaged enough, at least I was engaged enough that it went by okay. I played a game of the original Android, I think. Not Android Netrunner, but Android, the board game, which is really interesting. But about halfway through that game, which I think took like 6 hours, again, including the learning time and everything, about halfway through I realized that there was, even if I played optimal moves, there was no way I could even get close to winning. And so the whole second half of that game, for like 3 hours or so, I just went through the motions on my turn. I move here, I do this. I move here, I do this. And tried to, keep it energetic and put on a brave face. But inside, I was just pulling levers and stuff. And, you were going to say something?
Sorry, I wanted to cough and so you could edit it out.
Oh, okay.
Now, I've had that experience, too, where if I felt like I was just out of the game, like there's no way I could win, then I kind of zone out. Yeah. And it's funny, there's a game that I got to play last year with a bunch of people I enjoy gaming with and got to play for the first time, Thief. I got to play at Origins for the first time with like Jamie Keggy from Secret Ball and Rodney Smith and Watch played several other people. And the first several hours, I was just totally into it. But honestly, by the end, it's like a 5-hour game. That's one of those games where you can think, all the games get ready to end and something happens. There's a twist, and it's like, okay, it's going to go on a little bit longer. And I think after the twist, I'm like, I'm kind of done. I'm kind of ready for it to be over. That's why I really, really, really enjoy games that have a built-in clock. Even if a game is long, if there's some element of the game that eventually will wind down and the game will end, I love that, because then I know there's no way that game can just continue perpetually. So anytime that I see a game that's 2 hours, 3 hours plus, and I scan through the rules and look for winning conditions, and one of them is, there's something that's going to time out, I'm all in.
Okay. What if like the twist in a game is that all of a sudden someone has to start explaining the rules to the mind, and you realize you're going to be sitting there for another hour and a half? What do you do in situations like that?
Well, I mean, if we're going to throw back jokes to other episodes, then, that's totally fine. We could do that.
I have the power of editing. I can pester you now and then come off clean as a whistle later. That who's that?
Fair.
Yeah. Okay. The other side of this coin to me is games that shouldn't take that long but do. I have tried to enjoy Istanbul, but the very first time I played it, now how long should that game take?
I didn't think that was the very last. Oh my God, it's been years since I played. A couple hours, maybe?
Yeah, my first game of Istanbul was over 3 hours long.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, that's bad.
And the game just killed it for me, because I wake up cold sweats in the middle of the night having flashbacks. And the worst part is that game.
Well, that's not because of Istanbul. That's something else. But go ahead.
Well, it could have really, really long, drawn out flashbacks, which makes it even worse. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So I mean, when you have a game that shouldn't be that long, but for some reason it turned AP, analysis paralysis, or something like that, lots of interruptions perhaps, does that affect your enjoyment of the game?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it can. And the problem is I know that I might be prone to the analysis paralysis and hurting the experience for others. And then I get frustrated at myself because I feel like then everybody's watching me and wanting me to hurry up. But let me ask you, what do you think about I can't remember. Do you play RPGs? Because those can go 3 to 4 hours long. Are you okay with something like that?
See, that's a totally different animal. When I play an RPG, it's like we're sitting down to tell a story and have fun, and it's more of an event. It's not like we're playing a game that was designed to play in 45 minutes. So totally different.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know what else is totally different? Is going to be the perspective from the chat. So let's turn over to the chat right now.
I have learned in my few episodes of this, the chat always has better perspective than what we do.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Okay, let me get my chat questions and we'll go there. Actually, I'm going to hide this real quick. Let's turn to the chat and prove that right now. First off, with a message. Well, actually, let me just scroll up a little bit. Okay, good. First off, with a suggestion from Christian, who says, I love long games just as much as a 30-minute one. I love Talisman, Twilight Imperium 4, and Battlestar Galactica. Oh, okay.
No, that's a good one.
Okay. I'm so glad sorry, my chat scrolled away. I'm so glad that Christian mentioned Battlestar Galactica, because that is another example of what can happen with a long game. I waited like years, literally a couple of years, to have the opportunity to be in the right place at the right time to play Battlestar Galactica. And there was a local convention where there were 6 people or however many, full complement of people to play it. And I got to sit down and I got to play it. And everyone in that group played Battlestar Galactica with each other like every weekend. That's the same group. They played all the time. So I sat down to play this game, and I sat down and I watched one person take his turn, kind of talk, inside jokes, stuff, whatever, do things real quick, boom, 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 turns down. Next person, blah, 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 boom, 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 turns down. Next guy, boom, boom. It ended up where I sat there 4.5 hours, and I ended up watching everyone else play a game of Battlestar Galactica, and I was stuck there doing it. And so that type of experience, the people you play with can definitely affect how the game plays out. And when you get stuck in that situation, I mean, you are there for the long haul.
Yep.
Have you had a situation where if you had a long game, if you had played it with a different group, you think you would have had a completely different experience?
Yes. Because I referenced Twilight Imperium earlier. I played with a group that there's a couple of people in that group. We played with 6 people that just kind of ruined it for me. That's why I need to play that game again, because I think I played with the wrong group.
Interesting.
And if I would play, maybe with you and some other people, that's one of those things that we talked about in the past before about, getting together with your friends that you never get to see and play games at cons that you normally wouldn't get to play. Mm-hmm. That's one that I would do. Yeah. With like you and some other people that I don't get to see a lot of, just to experience that game again and experience with other people. I think that would be make it a better experience for me.
Game of Thrones is the same one. That's mine for me at a convention. Even though that can be really, really long, the group of people that I could get together with at a convention, I kind of have this fantasy of actually making that happen someday. And just because it would be worth it. Okay, let's move on to the next chat thing here from the person who is Kabuki Kid, who says, my opinion is that games that are meant to be 3+ hours are great, but a 1.5 hour game that runs 3+ hours is not quite as fun. There you go.
That's your Istanbul, right?
That's my Istanbul right there. We have a consensus here that short games that take forever, for some reason, not as fun. Now, what if there's a really long game that's supposed to be really long, but it's really fast? Do you think that would ruin it for you?
No. In fact, what was... Oh, my gosh. Oh, I know. Perfect one. Went to Tantrum Con, who's run by Tantrum House, and I got to play Black Orchestra for the first time.
Okay.
That's a co-op game that was really big last year. First time I ever played it. Tony, my co-host on the podcast, had played it and said, Marty, you need to sit down and try this game. It's amazing. So I got to sit down with a couple people there, including like Richard Launius, who designed Arkham Horror. Oh, excuse me. Let me pick up that name I just dropped down here. There it is. All right, I got it. All right. So he taught the game, and it's one of those things where it runs like 7 rounds, so it has a clock built into it. And at the beginning of the game, people said, typically the game doesn't resolve or you don't win by like the 4th or 5th round. We won in round 2. It's almost like the setup of the game and the rules explanation took more than the game itself. And those who had played went, this just never happens. It's just things just happen to work out with the card draws and everything and the dice rolls to where we won almost instantly. And Tony was like upset, my co-host, because he was like, you didn't really experience the game at all. And that's where I felt like I was kind of jilted, because some of the people I was playing with, there's something about being able to, you get caught by the Gestapo and thrown into prison and you're interrogated. And one of my friends said that's just one of the best mechanics that he's seen in a game in a long time, and I never got to see it. So I do feel I was kind of jilted and want to play it again to see how that part of the game works. But it didn't deter from the experience, though. It just makes it feel like this game's not that hard. I'm a big deal. I've won. I don't need to play again.
What was famous game designer Richard Launius' opinion of that?
Who? Richard? Oh, hold on. You mean Richard Launius? Yeah, that guy. So he was stunned. He was the one that said, we've never won this quick before. So he was kind of shocked too. But it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt the experience, except that I felt like I lost out on seeing something in the game that I was told I should see.
That makes sense. Okay. And I think that is actually that story you just gave is a really good example of that very type of scenario that can play out with games like that and why it can be good and bad. Let's go to the next comment, which could be good or bad. This one from Trevin, who says, as long as these games are played by appointment rather than spur of the moment, it's fine. I think,
good point.
Yeah, I mentioned that I rarely get to play really long games, and the reason I actually have Twilight Imperium and Android in my examples is because last year I actually set up with a local game group of friends a monthly or bi-monthly thing where we actually set up a certain day each month that we're going to play a game that we never get to play otherwise, and it's been these bigger, meatier games. So, and then we know it's going to happen, we're expecting it, and we don't mind as much.
Yep.
I hope.
But I don't think, unless it's at a con or something, there's no 3+ hour game that's played on spur of the moment for our group here.
Yeah. And if a 3 hour plus game is sprung on you spur of the moment without you realizing it, it never leaves a good taste in your mouth.
No.
I was at a little local event and a guy came up and he said, hey, you want to play Spartacus? It's like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'd love to play Spartacus. And I should have known because like the 5 people that were standing next to me all left. And I was almost standing there. It's like, let's go play. And so we sat down, and there was like a full complement, like 6 people or 7 people or whatever. It's like, wow, that's a lot of people to play Spartacus. I said, oh, yeah, because I have all these print and play expansions. And so the whole table was filled with people, and that game, oh my gosh, that game might still be going on somehow. It took a long time. And it was one of those, if I had known, I would have been with the other people and just walked away. All right. Let's continue on with a comment next from Halo, who says, I love long games. Emphasis mine. Specifically with people that are into it. Emphasis also mine. Twilight Imperium and Xayah are the longest games that I have played, especially if there is a player interaction and a theme. I'm glad that Halo mentioned Xayah as well. Xayah, I love Xayah Legends of a Drift system. But one time, the most recent time I played that, it went on because I can't remember what it was, my character got marooned kind of, that's what it was. Everyone else went off kind of eastward to explore the galaxy. And I said, well, forget this. I'm going to go westward. I'm going to see what's this way. So I went off by myself. And I pulled out, you have this stack of space tiles. And you pull out a random one and you place it down as you're exploring space. And I drew empty space. And then empty space. And empty space. And literally, I had this long, I've never seen anything like it. There was this long line of tiles. Every tile that was a planet was over here, and I had this long line, and I got down to there was one tile left, and I got to it, and I turned it over, and it was a planet, but I ran out of resources, and I got stuck, right? And so I kind of just floated around next to the planet while everyone else was over here, and it made that Xayah game a very, very long, tedious experience. And it was my own fault, in a way. Actually, I blame everyone else, because if they had come this way...
we blame you, too.
Okay. Oh, good to know. What about you? Is there a long game that you have, or is there a game that you like thought you wouldn't like its length, but then you ended up not minding once you started playing it?
No.
Okay. Moving on. Our next question. Our next question comes from Quan7UM Jack, who says, long games that have a legitimate way for a player to leave early are good. Oh, that's a really good point. Wait for a legitimate way for players to leave early. Only game, as an example, that's coming to mind for me is Shadows over Camelot, which kind of is built to have people come in and leave.
Oh.
What can you think of any other games where it's built into it, the game itself, for people to come and go?
During the actual game?
During the actual game.
No, I can't personally. I'm sure it's out there, but
yeah. Oh, you know what though? There is an artificial breakpoint in games that I feel guilty doing it, but I've only had to do once or twice. The example that comes to mind is the game Nations. There was a game day, and this group of people grabbed Nations and sat down. None of us had played it, so they took out So the person who grabbed it took out the rule book and starts going through the rules to explain it. No joke, 1 hour and 45 minutes later, we still had not started the game, and we're still going through the rules. And I felt bad doing it, but I raised my hand and I said, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm supposed to have another game in like a half an hour or so. I got to bail. I'm out. And it was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And someone else came up and took my place, whatever. And I felt bad doing it, but the only reason I kind of felt it was okay is because we hadn't actually started playing the game yet. We were still reading the rules.
Right.
And, have you had that experience where you find you just are sucked into a game, you realize, I have got to find a bail point. I have got to bail on this.
No.
Hey, Marty! We have a good rapport. Why don't you come join me? Okay, sure, I'll do that. That sounds fun.
But I'm not saying it to be funny. It's true. I've never had that experience before.
No, I'm not trying to be funny. It's true. I'm a very dull person. I'm not acting. Thank you. Fantastic. The worst part is, I know that there's going to be a cut point there. I got to wait till we both regain our composure before I can continue on to the next comment here.
Hey, I know I'm not getting to come back again, so I'm using them all right now.
Cashing in my chips. All right, let's take 3 or 4 more here.
All right, here we go.
Okay, let's take 3 or 4 more here. The next one from Cam, who says, do you think some game publishers list shorter times than what is realistic on their boxes because they fear the longer time will lead to less sales? Oh,
Ooh.
fantastic.
Oh, so lying to the consumer, basically.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that happens? If you say no,
it's funny. It's funny you say. It's funny you say that because it does seem like there are a lot of games, and the reason why this comes up is because whenever I sit down and play games with my wife, and she says, "Let me look at the box and see how long it takes." And if it says an hour, she said, "All right, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours." It's like she just now like assumes that whatever's written on the box isn't exactly right. Now, to be fair, you're also learning the rules and playing for the first time, etc. But I mean, sure, I think the first game or two is probably always longer than what's listed on the box. I really do. I think once you get into it, and then you don't know, you assume that they're not including setup time, and so setup could take a little bit of time, and then maybe teaching the rules to somebody. So it does tend to go longer than what's written on the box, unless just everybody knows exactly what they're doing. It's already set up, and you sit down and you play.
That's exactly what I think it is. I don't think it's the publishers being malicious in any way. I think it's that those times are based on their play testing and their development. Games by people who designed the game or know the rules really well from play testing. I think that's where those numbers usually come from. And it's kind of your best case scenario time limit. Mm-hmm. Wow, when you actually have an answer for a question, it like opens up a whole new world of media. It's fantastic. All right, let's now I'm gonna have to regain my composure. Okay, let's take a couple more here. Next comment is from Axentroll, who says, I'd play long games if I and my friends had the time, but that rarely happens. And I think many of us actually are in that same boat. I think, like I gave the example that for those longer games, we actually had to create a specific schedule for them.
Yes, it's funny you say that because I have my game group here who has some long games we want to go back and experience again. I mentioned Game of Thrones. That was a special, all right, like 3 weeks from now, let's get this group of people together and play. Mare Nostrum, we want to get back to the table so bad because we all loved it. Mm-hmm. Forbidden Stars, we want to get back to the table so bad because everybody loved it. And I want to teach them StarCraft, which was the precursor to Forbidden Stars, because I want to play those two literally back to back to compare how they two are, but both games are 2 or 3 hours long. So yeah, I agree. You do it well. Where I am right now with wife, kids, everything, you do have to kind of plan. Everybody else has to plan to do it. That's why I just don't get to do it that often. But that's why also conventions are a great place to do it, because then you have you're there just to play games. So it's a perfect time to bring out those longer games.
Mm-hmm. It's a really good environment for it. Absolutely,
it is a very good environment, Chaz.
You're making fun of me somehow, but I can't quite put my finger on how. So I'm going to continue on to a couple more questions here. The next one from B. Pike, who says, games that are 1.5 to 2 hours are more in my wheelhouse, but 3+ still doesn't bother me at all. And I lost my place. Oh, there. He continues, they just require a little more scheduled planning with players. And I think that dovetails right into what we've already said there. And I think so, Axentroll or anyone else that has problems with it, I think scheduling in advance is really the way to go, or to put yourself in the correct environment for that type of game.
Yep.
All right.
Agree.
And our last question here is our last comment is going to come from Christian, who says, I think it also sometimes comes down to your background. Mine is from Warhammer 40K, Axis and Allies, so I love them just as much. But my wife came from Yahtzee, etc., so long games are not for her. Oh, very, very true. What it looks like that sparked some ideas in your dome there, little.
Well, no, I think I'm just sitting there thinking, Warhammer 40K can be a long game, and in fact, I'm one of those that still love to play miniature games, but again. with games like 40K Age of Sigmar, where you got large point armies. That basically large point armies means you got a lot of models on the board. There's a lot of models being moved around. Just takes a long time to play a game. That's why these newer games coming out from like Games Workshop, who are smaller skirmish games, like Chaz, you and I got to play Kill Team together, which is a lot fewer models, less to learn, simpler rules, and quicker time to play. And that game has taken off big time, and I think part of the reason is people now realize, oh, I don't have to commit 3 hours to a miniature game. Here's a nice miniature game that I can play, still get that miniature feel in an hour or less.
Absolutely, yeah. So there might be variations of certain longer games that you can play that would fit into a more reasonable time frame that the co-players would be more apt to try, almost like a sampling, a taste, as it were. The Costco sample of gameplay.
Do you ever go to Costco just to go there and eat? Just get all around and get the samples? Is that just me?
Yes, I do.
Oh, on Saturdays, man. Oh my gosh, they just got all these places you can go up and like get like little pieces of meat and little wieners and like little ice cream cones and stuff and fruit and everything. I mean, have a whole lunch for free.
I've done that before. Yes, I have. All right.
Thank you.
Well, join us next time for another episode of True Confessions with Marty and Chaz, where we will be answering your questions and topics and also divulging things about ourselves that we'd rather not say.
Hey, they offer it. It's free. I paid my membership. If they're going to stick food in my face, I'm going to eat it.
Fair enough. Marty, for those of anyone who may or may not be familiar with it, where can people find you on the intermost web?
If you want to check out our podcast, Rolling Dice and Taking Names, we have a website where you can go download the episodes at rolldicetakenames.com. Obviously, we're also on iTunes and Stitcher, etc. Or you can, if you want to chat with us, you can do so on Twitter at Dice and Names, Facebook. We're kind of, wherever Chaz is, we're there too. Actually, we're right in Chaz's basement right now. He doesn't even know it.
Where were you when I was cleaning my kitchen this morning?
Stayed in the basement, baby.
Fair enough. All right. And I'm Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise, and you can find me on the YouTube channel that you are watching right now. Until next time, I again have been Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise, the YouTube channel you're watching right now. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again, hopefully more coherently, real soon.
I doubt it.
All right. Let me save my audio and this track. Bloop. And if Marty, if you have time, we can bang out one more if you want.
Yes,
okay.
I would love to. If the people in the chat want to hang around.
Well, that's the nice thing about the chat too, is see, we're always there for them and they can rotate if they want. So they're not stuck. They're not stuck like a guy trying to clean his kitchen all by himself this morning.
Oh, I like your pink light that you have back there. That's cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I actually went to Walmart and I don't know if you've noticed, the videos I've been producing recently, I have a yellow light I kind of shine on the side of me to kind of just give a little color and definition. And so I'm not as one-dimensional as I am in real life. And so I went to Walmart yesterday and I got a couple more colored floodlights, and I'm experimenting with a reddish one. So I got blue here shining actually on it, and I got the red to kind of make some red, blue, and purple colors back there. Anyway.
Wait a minute. You make videos?
Yeah. This is the part of the show we call He's Sorry He Asked. All right. Let me go. We only had one chat window there. Thank you, Kabuki, for ending episode 65.
Oh, hold on.
Yes.
Kabuki just said something, and I want to check out Talon. I think Talon's a GMT game. I've heard good things about it. It says it's like a miniatures combat game that isn't too long.
Oh, really?
I think Joel Eddy's played Talon. I need to ask him about that. Anyway, sorry.
All right. So
hold on a second. You have a yellow light shining on your face?
Kind of on this. I have some white tissue paper over it to really diffuse it, so it's not stark. Except in the most recent video I just did, the What's the most recent video I just did? One moment.
The one we're recording right now.
Other than that, the one, the mashup between Downforce and Super Mario Kart. I forgot to put the tissue paper on the yellow light in that one. So if you notice that one, it's a lot brighter on me, but it's off on this side of me. But yeah, I have that kind of shining on me to add some color and stuff. And of course, I got the colored lights and stuff to make it fancy time. So, okay. It's called The Sun.
What's the question here on this one?
The question. Okay, so there's this one I pulled up from Aaron Williams, who actually had 4 things, and I thought the one that really pointed out to me was number 1 and 2. Really, gaming fatigue. Maybe. I mean, I don't think it would be wise to talk about all 4. I think just honing in on one. But I thought number 2, getting your kids into gaming or gaming when you have young kids might be neat, because I have my daughter who just turned 12, but you have your 3 boys. And I know that, they there's some games they're getting into that really excite you. And I thought that might be neat to talk about.
So as a Christian just said, you should try Necromunda or Mordheim. I've tried Necromunda. To me, those rules were a little bit, there's a lot going on there. The Kill Team was more of my speed, and I'm hoping that Age of Sigmar comes out with a skirmish-based game like Kill Team, and I'm hoping that's what Warcry is going to be. They recently announced. So, okay, I'm sorry, Chaz. Okay, yeah, the question number 2 sounds good to me. I got a lot I can say to that. I can explain the rules of the mind and stuff like that while I do it too.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, and I might. I'll talk about V-Bug a little bit if she behaves. Okay, so let me make sure I have Audacity prepped. Let me start my camcorder for my source audio, my source video. Start recording. Get a sip of some water.
Let me get that booger out of my nose. Kabuki Kid, I love Shadespire. I've been in Shadespire since day one. We have a group here that plays every week at the game store. I need to get out there and play with them more. Shadespire, an amazing game. Perfect mixture of cards and miniatures. All right, sorry, go ahead.
It's on my list. I missed my momentum to get into Shadespire when it first hit, and now it's one of those where newer, shinier things keep getting in the way for me to get back to it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I want to try that out. Okay. All I need is my snappy little intro. I don't have one yet because I wasn't sure which question we were going to do there. So,
Here, I got one for you.
Okay.
Since we're talking about kids playing games,
Uh-huh.
Do you love kids? Because I sure do. All right, there you go. Enjoy.
We'll put that in the maybe pile, Marty. Okay, let me go here. I'm not sure if it really matters with me switching to the main camera, but since we're doing this new method, I'm not sure if I'm going to have to pull the footage from the live stream itself or not, which is why I'm hiding you, Marty, at the beginnings. Okay. Here we go. Today's topic, they grow up so fast and hopefully start playing games. I think that's as good as I'm going to get. All right. Okay. This episode brought to you by Shadespire. Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of TABLEscraps, the live streaming show where we discuss topics about board games, tabletop games, and card games with the live streaming chat audience. And today is another special treat because I am joined by another live individual, Mr. Marty Cannell from the Rolling Dice and Taking Names podcast. It's Marty.
Hey, Chaz. How is the weather in Oregon today?
The weather, man, for like the last 4 episodes, it's been exactly the same. It's just
interesting.
Yeah, I'm hoping it clears up soon. But other than that, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And how are you doing?
Doing fantastic. I cannot wait to talk about this topic that we're going to be talking about, that you're going to be telling us what it is in just a second.
Absolutely, Marty. Thank you for asking. Today's topic comes from Aaron Williams, who asked actually a flurry of questions. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to go over all his questions.
I think it was a blizzard of questions, but go ahead.
Yes, an Activision blizzard of questions. We'll play Hone In. I'm not cutting. I'm still I'm going. I'm rolling still. I'm going to keep rolling. We'll probably hone.
We'll do it live.
Darn it! All right. We'll probably hone in on just one of these, but let's go through his questions. Aaron asks about gaming fatigue and renewed passion in games, which is a really good topic, which we might come back to. Right now, I'm a little too tired to go into that topic. Also mentions, talks about...
Bravo! Yes.
This is so much nicer when you're live streaming with someone you can get instant gratification for your bad jokes from. It's really nice. I like that.
Oh, I'll give you instant gratification.
Question number 2 is getting your kids into gaming or gaming while you have young kids. More about getting them into the table rather than what to play, which I think might be the one that we were going to hone in on. But you also mentioned cheaters, good stories, which might be something anecdotal we might come back to. And also for meeting new friends and saying goodbye to leaving ones. And again, that might be a whole topic in and of itself. But for this particular episode, let's zero in on Aaron's second question. Getting your kids into gaming or gaming while you have young kids. More about getting them to the table rather than what to play. Now, we're both in very nice positions, I think, to kind of share some stories about this because I have one child, a daughter, who I started playing games with when she was 6. And she just turned 12. So I've seen her kind of grow through these formidable years, and she's just getting to the point where I'm introducing kind of bigger and bigger things to her. Like Battletech is one that I'm actually going to be introducing to her soon, as well as Magic the Gathering and stuff like that. But you have 3 boys of different ages, so tell me what your experience game-wise has been with them so far.
Sure, yeah. So I've got 3 boys. One is, let me just tell you the ages so I can go back and explain where they kind of are now. So one is 22, one is 18, one is 16. Okay. And so I started gaming with them all very, very early on. Now, we try to do some of the board games and stuff like that, and they were somewhat into the board games. But what I found that they really liked for them, 2 things. One, the Pokemon card game, the Pokemon trading card game. They seemed to really enjoy that because they were playing Pokemon on the video, on the console, on the Game Boy. So all of them are big video gamers, were and still are. And so I thought, okay, that's kind of my way in. Let me find something that's themed around something, that they play. Well, Pokemon was like instant. Oh, I've caught that Pokemon before. I want that card. So I got them into that. They also really like, they were into comic books and obviously liking superhero movies and everything. Hero Clicks. Here we go. So that kind of made sense. I got them Hero Clicks and they were into that. Heroscape. We had some of the original sets of that. So they liked figures and they liked cards. And and so they started playing those at an early age, and then it kind of progressed from there. So right now, my 2 oldest are heavy into Games Workshop games. They have, like for Christmas, both of them just asked for mainly Games Workshop models to fill out their list for 40K in Age of Sigmar.
Oh, wow.
My middle son is big into Magic the Gathering. Big. He loves playing Commander. He goes to tournaments. Every month there's a tournament. He goes to a local game store, and he plays that. Both of my older ones, somehow along the way, we played RPGs here and there. RPGs may be their main style of game. While the older one was in college, he had a group that he played every week, and now my middle one that's in college, he has a game group that he plays every week. They love writing stories. RPGs was a great way to get them into creative aspects. They love writing stories and DMing and storytelling, and then the crafty stuff, the miniatures, they love to paint. Those 2 can paint me under the table. I mean, they have an amazing painting skills that they've honed over the years. So starting early, I just try to find something that they were interested. Wow, that was really Southern. Find something that they were really interested in based on other stuff that they were watching on TV or playing in video games. Found an analog version of that, introduced them, and it stuck with them.
Interesting. See, my approach with, I guess, my daughter has been a little bit of that, but more, I think, of just trying to find games I think might capture her interest. There wasn't a direct analog for a lot of these. But one of the first games we played together was actually King of Tokyo. And she liked, the artwork on a lot of the cards. Any monster card that had something that was cute in any way, they were her favorite cards to play when they came up. And she actually couldn't read yet completely, but she started to, I was surprised, she memorized what the cards would do just based on the artwork. And not just like parroting back the rules, but she actually understood the concepts even when she was 6 and would kind of know, if I do this, if I get this card, it's going to have this effect for me. And I know I want that one when it comes up. And so, kids, I'm always surprised at how much they can pick up and absorb that way. And so, like what you said, finding an analog or finding games that might have something about them art-wise or component-wise that capture their interest can be another way to introduce them to it.
And also, another thing that got them into gaming was we took them to Gen Con for the first time in 2010. So at that time, there were 13, 9, and 7.
Wow.
So going to a place like Gen Con and experiencing that, and I'll never forget that we, at the time, Mayfair Games had their thing where if you played their games, you could collect the ribbons for like the different things of Catan. And we'd go around and sampling all these games and trying to get into the drawing and et cetera. And I remember that we played a game called Pack and Stack, which is not made anymore. And they loved that game. And now that game's like a collectible game. I recently looked on eBay, and it was like over $100 for a copy of that. So I'll never get rid of that. It was a great like Tetris-y, like 3D Tetris-y like game called Pack and Stack. But I remember that's the first time that my 2 older ones got into miniature games, because at that time Privateer Press had a Monster Apocalypse, which was like these big old monster figures that you put out into the board and you played a miniatures game with. And that was our first exposure to miniatures, to the bigger crafty miniatures games. And actually just last year, Privateer Press had canceled that line years ago and brought it back. And there's a new version of Monster Apocalypse out now.
Huh. Interesting.
So a convention environment really is like, whoa, this is cool. I'm in.
Introduce them to some of the spectacle and some like, whoa, this is more than just boxes on a shelf. There's a whole like world going on about this.
And back during that time, Wizards had an amazing D&D type and a booth where you could go in and everybody wore like a lanyard that had a character name on it, or you played a character and you had a big old D20 that you would roll, so you got to play like out a battle against people that were dressed up. They were cosplaying as mummies and creatures and stuff. And so you got to go in there. It's like, I'm going to cast a fireball, and you roll the big D20, and if you killed the creature, you got something out of the treasure chest. Oh, it's like, yeah, I'm in. And they don't do that anymore. And it's a shame because that was so cool.
It's not as elaborate, but it reminds me a little bit of the Exploding Kittens booth at Origins and Gen Con recently. They actually have a huge, big actual structure made that's like this big vending machine game thing where people line up around the booth all day long. People will line up to just basically interact with this fake vending machine type game from Exploding Kittens where they earn prizes and get things. And it's just such a unique experience for people there. Stuff like that definitely draws people in and sparks their imagination, in addition to just, the games themselves.
And my middle son, his favorite author right now, and probably forever will be, is R.A. Salvatore, who he got to meet at Gen Con. And because of that, he started reading his books.
Cool.
So he's all into the D&D lore and all that.
Cool. Oh, there's one more thing related to this, but I need to go get a visual aid. So, Marty, be charming for just 20 seconds. I'll be right back.
How you doing? Hey.
Excellent work. All right.
Thank you.
So there's one other aspect of this, I think, that as a parent, you need to be very cognizant of. And that is when you're introducing kids to the games, and again, you're just kind of introducing them to the concept of games to get them interested and not necessarily the games themselves. One of the things you have to do as a parent is realize that they are kids and the games are going to not necessarily always come out of the experience in pristine condition. You got to let that go. Case in point, my daughter recently, she's in 6th grade now, and for the last couple of months, every other Friday or so, she's been taking a game with her to school to play with her friends at school. She's taken Quacks of Quedlinburg, and she's took code names a couple of times. Another favorite is Just One that she's taken. And last time she came home with Just One, she came home and it ran into a door and the handle went right through the box. And she she pulled it out of her backpack real timidly. And she was like, the game ran into the door. And at that moment, I looked at it. It's like, and my first thought as a parent is, she just ruined my game box. But I was like, you know what? That's what's going to happen. That's a scar of honor. That's what's going to happen when you actually use your games and take them off the shelf and get them played. So it was like, yep, that's cool. That's going to happen. And, So
wait a minute. The excuse was a door ran into it?
Yeah, she was carrying it, and like the door opened, and it had not the ball handles, but the long, skinny handles, and the handle of the door went kind of went into it. So, but yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Either that, or I dropped this, the other day, and I'm just blaming it on her to save face.
So that's what kids are for, man. How'd that get broke? Kid did it.
It really works well when they haven't developed the gift of speech yet. They just sit there.
Who didn't put gas in the car? Kid did it.
Anyway, being able to let that go, though, I think is very critical as a parent, because if you can't, you're not going to be able to create a nurturing, fun environment for them when it comes to that.
But it's funny. So my kids are very much the keep everything pristine as possible. It's like when they get like collectible toys and stuff, it's like they carefully take it out of the box and display it, or don't even take it out at all. So they've kind of got that from me.
Yeah, my daughter will carefully take it out of the box, but then put it on the floor of her room and leave it there to collect dirt and everything with everything else on the floor of her room. So I'm getting a copy of the comments here, because I'm going to go to the comments here real quick. All right, so let me get off my I'm so great soapbox there. Let me get off of my parenting tips soapbox, and let's turn over to the chat, and let's see what some of the people have to say on this topic about what we can do as gamers to get our kids involved. Peter is going to just start off. Peter.
I know. That's a wild last name.
I know.
Peter Much. Let me spell that.
Peter starts us off by saying, need some games with interesting components to play with the youngest ones. Mice and Mystics is a bit too much. Played Go Nuts for Donuts with the youngest, and she really liked the art, and it was easy to explain. And I think Peter, the components, that's one of the reasons I introduced King of Tokyo to V-Bug when she was little, because it was the components. What games, Marty, come to mind when you think of games that you would introduce to someone who's between 6 to 10 years old?
Oh, well, you mentioned King of Tokyo. I actually introduced King of Tokyo to my kids. Big old chunky dice. They like the big cutouts of the monsters. The cards weren't overwhelming. I understand younger kids may not be able to by 6 to 10 they should be reading, and the cards won't get messed up. So that's a good one, just with those chunky dice, and the theme of it's really kind of cool. What's yours while I think of another one?
Oh, another one is Heroescape. Heroescape is one where when my daughter was 2 years old, we had this thing we'd do each weekend where we would go down to the hobby shop, and I would get a pack of Heroescape, and then we'd get some ice cream and come home, and we'd open it up, and then kind of look at them and just kind of play with them. We wouldn't play Heroescape; we'd just play with them. But we would do that on a regular basis, and it was something that I think we both really looked forward to. And again, we weren't playing the game. I was just introducing her to kind of the concepts, and we'd go to the gaming store, and she'd look at all the little the kid games in the blue-orange section and stuff like that. Yeah, we played Pengaloo. Oh, we had the blue-orange game. Pengaloo was a huge hit for us, as was Froggy Boogie or Froggy Boggy, Froggy something. But Froggy Boogie was another one. But that and Pengaloo were the ones that, as a parent, I was able to play and not go insane.
And it's funny, I used to take my kids to the comic book store, and they would get a booster pack of Hero Clicks. It was the same sort of deal. We get home, open them up. Another good game with components that is great for kids is I'm drawing a blank. It's wooden animals, and you stack them. What's that one
Animal
called?
Upon animal.
Animal? Yes, Animal Upon Animal. That's a fantastic game with great components that kids can handle, and they get the concept of stacking and everything. Rhino Hero is another good one because it's just cards, and I think anything with building and doing something with them and making like a 3D anything, whether it be stacking or whatever, I think is great for kids.
I think
and plus, it's always funny when it falls down. They get a kick out of that, especially when it's your fault. And
yeah. That's why I introduced the Hulk to Jenga. No, nothing. Okay, moving on.
We've been doing for like 6 hours. Is that right? About 6 hours.
But we scheduled the time for it, so it's like those 3-hour games. Okay, let's talk about.
We could have played a game in this time. We could have played Twilight Imperium.
All right. Halo joins us to say, I don't have kids, but if I play Rhino Hero Super Battle, my inner kid comes out. Oh, that was I think the very first Gen Con. I think it was the first one that we were at. Rhino Hero was the deluxe big version was a real big hit, and everybody was playing it.
Oh yeah.
And I think the hotel at Gen Con that has all the trains in it. That was one of the first things that we did together. Is we met up with a couple other people that were in the lobby there playing Rhino Hero.
Yep, I remember that. In fact, I got a picture of it somewhere.
Really?
Of us playing. Yep.
Huh. So okay, I didn't imagine it. So that's good. Not the most riveting story, but hopefully the next one will be. Let's continue on.
I can't guarantee that.
Let's continue on to Sakura, who mentions Cube Quest and Ice Cool are great. They always went over well with my friends and kids. Oh, yeah, Ice Cool. That's the penguin flicking one, isn't it?
Amazing. Great suggestion. Once again, the people in the comments have much better ideas than what we do. Ice Cool, an amazing game for kids.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Now, are you familiar with Cube Quest?
I am not.
I am not.
I assume you're looking for cubes.
Apparently, and it's probably something you're really, really invested in, so it's like some sort of quest. So, hence the quest part. So, all right. But yeah, that's, Ice Cool, though, especially, excellent suggestion. And I guess, dexterity games in general can be good for that, too. The one with the cars, if you're flicking the cars, Flick Racer, Race Flicker,
Flick Racer. Here comes Flick Racer.
And there he goes off the table. Oh my gosh, what's that game called? You got the cars and you're flicking the cars down the track. Marty, look. This doesn't.
The Track Racer. It's just the one that have like usually set up at conventions.
Yes, it's always at especially Dice Tower Con always has it set up.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good one.
Flick them up. Let's just go flick them up.
That's a totally different game.
Junk art. Okay, next. Okay.
Junk art's a good one though.
It is.
Again, I think anything with a tactical element to it, I think it's going to be good for kids.
Absolutely. Okay, our next comment comes from... Oh, you're going to say something else?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Our next comment comes from Cam.
Yeah, I was going to say something. No, go ahead.
Our next comment...
No, I know what it was.
What? If you are... I'm going to... Oh... All right. Cam mentioned our next question comes from Cam, or our next post comes from Cam, who says, I have introduced both Sushi Go and Stone Age to 8 to 10-year-olds with great success. Ooh, that is a really good one. Interesting. I thought the same thing, but I introduced Sushi Go to my daughter, and it just fell flat. I was really surprised. And so, your mileage with any of these games may vary. However, even still, I still believe in Sushi Go, and I agree with Cam that is a very, very good candidate.
Yeah, and another thing, too, I was just thinking about, we think about, like, young kids and with dexterity and big blocks and everything. But once kids get older, 8, 12, maybe 10, you might, if you want to get them into something a little more meaty, where they got to do a little more thinking, we found that co-ops were a good way to go. So at the time, at that age, Pandemic was big. And so my kids could get into Pandemic because we could help them. We could help them understand what the cards mean, some of the strategy behind it, because it wasn't us versus them. Mm-hmm. So then they could pick up on some of the strategy, and then you just start backing off and let them make their own decisions once they understand how the game works. And with so many co-op games out there now, that's a great way to introduce kids into something with a little bit more meat, where they require maybe some more reading skills and logic skills.
That's a very good point. And actually, that was an opportunity for a teachable moment for my wife and I as parents. We introduced Forbidden Island to our family. We played with our daughter. We really enjoy Forbidden Island a lot. And for 1 or 2 games into it, second or third time we played, the odds were against us, and the island was sinking, and we thought we could win. And little V-Bug, our daughter, piped up and said, "I think we should do this, then that move, and then this third thing." And we went into kind of the know-it-all parent mode. It's like, "Oh, well, I think we might have a better plan. I think we should do this other thing over here." And so our daughter was like, "Okay," and she kind of sat back, and we lost. And not only did we lose, we realized almost immediately that if we had listened to her and did what she wanted, we would have won. And so as a parent, you got to not fall into that trap of the kid doesn't know what they're doing. The parent, we have a better strategy. And I since then, I've kind of opened my eyes and tried to be more aware. And I'm shocked. I shouldn't be, but I'm shocked how often, their strategies, even though, 8 to 12 years old, their strategies are very, very stable, good, solid strategies. Mm-hmm. We have a rule now. Yes.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, going back to the game that you were trying to think of with the cars. Chat told us pitch car.
Pitch car. Yeah. I was going to just mention that casually to you as a joke, but yeah, pitch car. Thank you, chat, for the pitch car. One thing we do now, though, I think is a really good rule, is every time we play a co-op game, we choose someone who is the unofficial leader, and they're going to have the final decision-making ability. And
that's fair.
Yeah, and that saves those type of situations from happening. All right, let's take about 5 more comments here, and we'll wrap up. Our next comment comes from Peter, who says, "Does your daughter get a lot of takers for the games she brings to school? Most of my kids' friends would have no idea." Oh, that's a really good question. She has a group of about, I think, 3 to 5 of her close friends that she knows well enough that they would allow her to introduce them to new things. If it's just kids in her class she doesn't know, I don't think that it would even register on their radar. What about you, Marty? Have your boys been able to evangelize tabletop games to anybody that they know?
Yes, but the main success they've had is RPGs.
Really?
Surprisingly. And this was in high school when it happened. Yes. So my oldest son was able to get 4 or 5 of his good friends into RPGs, and they played about once a week. Like some of them were on his football team, etc., and some other places. My middle son was the same way. He got a few of his friends in RPGs, but he also got them into Magic. And it's funny. They've also tried to evangelize miniature games. No takers. No takers in high school. No takers in college. And then my youngest son tried to get some of his friends into Magic, the card game, and that didn't really take either. So I don't know if it's a generational thing or it's just the friends they go around with. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
That's interesting. Yeah, that surprises me because I always think that the college years are just like a magnet for miniatures, and it just seems a lot of people get into it at that time. Huh? Interesting.
And what's interesting is that where my son is at college now, there's an official Games Workshop store right across the street within walking distance.
Oh.
And he's like, "Guys, it's right there. It's the mecca of all board games is right there."
Weird. Huh. Yeah, that is very surprising. I guess it just to each their own, I guess. Okay, let's continue on. Next, Halo has a question for us both. Halo asks, "Do you let your kids win, or is it just better to play the game and let them win fairly?" Now, I've done an entire episode on this topic, so Marty, I'll let you answer this one first.
You do videos
and live streams. Well, I used to do live streams, but I don't know if I'm going to do them anymore.
Sorry. Composure. So I'm trying to remember back to when they were younger. If they were struggling and like maybe getting upset or no, let's put it this way. Typically, we did not. We think that they should learn how to accept losing. But if it goes off on this thing where, man, they just get beat every time, I just didn't want to discourage them so much. So I wouldn't say, automatically let them win, but I'd pull back a little bit, as in if it was a competitive game, maybe I wouldn't do the best thing for me to do right then because I thought it might be a turning point in me winning. So I still played the game, but maybe, laid back a tad to give them a chance to win. And when they did, that was great. But then I would go back to just kind of try playing normal. I never tried to pounce them, especially on strategy games. I just tried to play not down to the level. That sounds bad. I just kind of pulled back the reins a little bit and did things a little bit slower, hopefully along their pace so they could pick up on some things. So typically, no, we did not let them win, but we also didn't try to crush them either.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly the same approach I take. I don't let her win, but I might not play as well as I might against someone else. Like for you, example, if I play a game against you, I have no problems crushing you and then like gloating about it afterwards. Just gloat.
What's happened?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But with her,
go ahead.
No, but with her, it also depends on the game too and her age level. But actually, if you do that though, be prepared for the consequences. Like, for example, Ascension. My daughter really liked Ascension a couple of years ago. And I would play it, and I would kind of play as an AI almost. I just kind of play. I would say, okay, this game, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to play this way. And I would kind of challenge myself. I made it a game for myself as a parent to kind of play a certain way. And she really loved it. She played all the time to the point where I started to get tired of it. And so when the next time she asked to play Ascension, I said, okay, this time I'm just going to play normal. I'm not going to pounce her, but I'm just going to play. And I won for the first time ever. And she never asked to play Ascension again. So if you don't, you have to walk that line. Is you don't let them win, but if you don't pull your punches too much or something, you could actually sour them on the experience, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Kid has to learn the consequences of not always winning. But
and I was going to also say that it gives you to be an example of how to win and how to lose.
Yes.
Obviously, when you win, don't rub it in. But you want them to win sometimes so that you can see how you should accept losing. Because you're right, kids can get upset. I did everything I was supposed to do and I still lost, etc. And so, like when I lose to you, I pout and whine just like a child does. Yes. But around my kids, I try to be more mature about it. And I tried to teach the kids how to be gracious winners and good losers. Like when they played official, Magic tournaments, they used to play miniature tournaments. I always said, at the very end of the game, always stick out your hand, say good game, and offer your hand, to shake their hand. Win or lose, be the first one to do it, and that just shows a gracious winner and not a sore loser.
Yeah, I really would love someday to see your example of being a gracious loser. I wonder what that looks like. But yeah,
I'll never show you.
But yeah, and when my daughter lost that game of Ascension, she didn't have a fit or tantrum or anything. It was just, I think she was like, well, that was not the experience I wanted to have. I'm going to move on to a different game, which, fair enough. All right, let's continue on here. B. Pike mentions, something I did with my kids is to introduce them to stepping stone games. I taught Sushi Go to introduce drafting, Star Realms for deck building, and Donut Drive-Thru for worker placement. I think that is an excellent approach.
That's good. Mm-hmm. That's a fantastic idea. And that's kind of what I did with the Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Magic might be on their radar eventually, and Pokemon was a great way to start. I mean, they actually went from there to Yu-Gi-Oh! And then from that to Magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I to be honest, I've had mixed results with that. I already talked about my results with Sushi Go, but we've played other drafting games. And V-Bug was into Pokemon for about a week. But it didn't really capture her interest. But Keyforge really has, because she found a deck with a combo she loves. It's the lizard Yggdrasil. I can't remember. Anyway, there's basically a card that takes no damage when it attacks, and then these boots or something, rocket boots that let something untap and attack again or something. So she can basically use it to take out two things. She loves that combo. She found a deck with that combo and latched onto it and wants to play it all the time, and is exploring new decks, discovering new combos all the time. But basically, letting her make those discoveries was, I think, the most important part.
Yeah. So, side note: Pokemon card game is a good game.
Is it? Okay, I'll have to actually try to play it.
Oh, I thought you played it with her.
I let her teach me how to play it, and after learning it from her, it might explain why it only captured her interest for about a week, because it wasn't. Okay. The rules weren't thorough.
Okay, all right. I think it's a decent game. I'm sorry, that was some side topic. All right.
Kabuki Kid mentions, definitely be careful not to overload kids or force them. You want them to want to play and to enjoy it. Absolutely.
Yep. I probably push too much, I admit.
Okay, really? I try not to. I have the opposite problem. When my daughter does want to play a game, I find myself doing the thing. Okay, I'm busy right now. Maybe tomorrow or maybe later. It's like, and I have to stop myself. No, this is one of those moments I'm not going to have for very much longer. Go stop the stupid thing you're working on and go spend the time and play this game, even if it's a 14th game of Ascension this week. Go do it.
Well, that's how I exactly felt when you asked me to join this stream. It's like, I may not have this much time to do this much longer, so I better do it now.
Exactly.
And now that I'm here, since I'll never get asked again, I'm glad I did it now.
Oh, okay. I'm glad. See, I've been trying to do everything in my power to make you resent it. So hearing that you're actually still glad you did it, it makes me very, very happy. All right. Let's take our final comment is going to come from Christian Kellberg, who says, a good way to get kids into games is gradually play with, game it with no points, etc., then play it full blown. I think I messed up Christian's comment here. Let me start that again. Our final comment's going to come from Christian, who says, a good way to get kids into games is gradually. Play with, game it with no points, etc., before you play it full blown. In non-English speaking countries, this could also be a good way, which is a very good point. Many games, I've tried to take the introduction in small steps. Magic is an example too. I've been planning on introducing V-Bug to Magic when she turns 13, and I actually dug up all my old Magic cards a while ago. It's like, okay, I'm going to make a deck that just has very basic creatures, a couple of decks that way. Then I'm going to make a couple more decks that have just some enchantments or sorceries. Then we'll add new decks that have instants and maybe hopefully. I'm worried that it makes it boring, because without a lot, if it's just monsters, it could be a dull experience at first. So it's kind of something I'm wondering if it might backfire. But
it's funny that you and I played Magic back at BGG this past year. Like, by the way, that was one of the best things I did at BGG. Chaz and I went to Target to get stuff for the week, and we went back to the aisle where they had Magic decks, and we were like, let's buy a Magic deck, and then it was just a starter deck. And I was going to say, a starter deck's a really good way to go because it has a lot of the basic stuff in it. It has all the rules and how everything works. But you and I had such a blast every night playing like one game of Magic, which is that simple starter deck. But I think those starter decks are built really well as a good introduction where it does have a few things in it. And maybe you don't need to strip everything out.
That's true. That's a good point. The starter decks they have these days they're really balanced, and they introduce some neat concepts, and they have a theme, a central idea in them. That might be a good way to do it instead of starting from total scratch. Maybe starting with one of those pre-con decks. That's it.
And I mentioned that because you already got one, because you got one at BGG.
Hell, be charming, Marty. I'll be right back.
Oh, I'm doing the charming thing again. Hey, you come here often? No, I don't either. Oh, he's back. Shh.
So, Marty, it's funny that you mention the fun that you had with those decks at BGG Con, because I was walking through the grocery store just the other day, and I passed through the aisle, and I found 2 new ones. So I picked these up. You notice they're still sealed. I picked these up specifically to take to the next convention to play together. And
heck yes.
Yeah.
And we actually might be rooming together at Origins, so
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. And now there's Gamma, so they might get opened at Gamma and played a couple of times there.
Oh,
but they were
sure.
they were really to replicate the fun that we had at BGG Con with the next convention that we're both at. So these are that's exactly what these are for.
And Kabuki Kid mentioned Commander decks.
Oh,
Commander's the thing now, and that's what my son Travis is totally into. And they make pre-configured Commander decks also. Now they're more expensive; they're like $40 or something. But Commander is kind of like the new thing.
Yes.
Not new thing, but it's a very popular thing. It used to be called ED Elder Dragon.
It was something. Like, EDH, I think. Yeah, I was watching some videos about Magic, and they kept mentioning EDH, and I had no idea what it was until I finally figured out. Oh, that's a Commander format.
Commander.
Yeah. Oh, and just to keep, I heard also that the current year, the current editions of the Commander decks are not good. Get the previous year's decks; they're much better. Anyway, all right. So there we go. I wanted to just make sure that these are. I got my screenshot. Cool. Okay. All right. So let's wrap this up. Okay.
Sorry, Elder Dragon Highlander. Thank you. I couldn't think of what H stood for. Thank you. And sometimes they're just called Highlander decks.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
but it's the exact same format as Commander. It's all
the exact same format. I think I'm talking out my butt right now. I'm doing the
if we were, we'd
James
be getting
Carey
more clicks.
Thing. What? Do what?
If you were, we'd be getting more clicks on the video.
Oh, sorry. Oh God! What's the character's name Jim Carrey played?
Uncle Sam. Fire Marshal Bill.
No, it's his movie where he talked out of his butt. Oh my gosh, I'm out of brain fart. No.
Oh, Spade Venetia.
Animal. Oh my gosh.
Deuce Bigelow. It had a card name. It was Deuce.
That was the Gigolo.
It was the King of Queens. No. It was Jack Ryan. No. It was.
You were killing me.
It was Lace Manderbia, wasn't it? It was. Was it Ace Ventura?
Oh, Ace Ventura. Thank you.
No, that wasn't
my gosh. See, the joke just fell. I was going to do this Ace Ventura thing.
All right.
How you doing? I thought we were still doing the charming thing.
All right. No, that boat left the station a long time ago.
Oh, don't stop. That boat left the station. You're as bad as mixing metaphors as my co-host is. Holy cow.
Don't you dare.
The boat left the station.
I'm not that bad. All right. Let's finish the episode while we can.
Yeah, because these people want to go eat or whatever.
All right. So where did we even leave off?
I have no clue.
No. Oh, full blown. Okay.
Talking out your butt, something like that.
Okay. So there's always more things that you can. So it seems like.
Yeah.
So Marty.
I boat left the station a long time ago, man.
So, Marty, would you agree that there are lots of different ways, approaches that you can take to introduce a kid to gaming? And there's no one tried and true way that's the right way to do it?
Oh, 100% agree. And I think that it's one of those things where you just need to know your kid. Know exactly what they like, what they're into, what they can handle. And the only thing with all these suggestions that we've made is just their suggestions. One of these may work, they all may work, or none may work. But here's the thing. It is so amazing when you get your younger kids into gaming, as I've experienced when they get older, and then they can sit there and, oh my gosh, sit in the basement with them and paint 40K miniatures with them. And they talk about the lore and they'll play RPGs with you or heavy strategy games. It is purely magical. It is a wonderful memory that I'll have forever. And hopefully it's something that they'll take with them. And when they have their families, they can pass it on to their kids.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's those moments that make it so special. It's not about the game. So often you get done playing the game or whatever, and you don't really remember who won, but it's the stories, the experiences that you share together. That is what you're going to keep and treasure. So, but you're right. There's no one tried and true way. So if you have other suggestions, tips, or ideas on this subject or questions, put them in the comments below, because we'd love to continue the conversation down there. Because unfortunately, right now we're out of time. But until next time that we get together, I've been Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise, joined this time by Marty Cannell from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. And Marty, real quick, where can people find the Rolling Dice and Taking Names gaming podcast at?
Well, if they want to go download the episodes, they can do so at rolldicetakenames.com. And obviously, you can find us on all your common podcast providers, iTunes, Stitcher. You can find us on Google. And then if you want to, on social media, you can follow us on Twitter at Dice and Names. Chaz, thank you so much for having me on for this topic. I love talking about kids, gaming, and everything. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for joining me. Until the next time that we have a chance to get together, thanks everyone in the chat for joining us. We'll talk to you again real soon. All right. Okay. That is going to be a file to save before I forget. I got all my chat window. Usually the chat has to remind me to go back and get screenshots, but I got all my screenshots. So thank you, everybody. And let me just export my audio real quick. So that's episode 6.
Holy cow. That was 2 hours and 19 minutes.
Yes.
So I can stop my recording, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was... And actually, that's not that far off. I mean, usually there's a lot more... When I do this myself, I have a lot more downtime as I'm pausing to get the screenshots and pausing to set up stuff. So there's a lot less downtime in this one. But that's usually the amount of time that they take to record. These episodes, I think, will be a little on the long side. But that was to be expected when you add in another person to chat.
That's my fault.
Yeah, I blame you completely, too.
I would.
I was going to mention there was one other thing. There was another question that came up, which was, how did you guys first meet and what were your first impressions? And you said on Twitter yesterday, I think, that you couldn't quite remember. And I know exactly. It is ingrained in my mind. So I was going to ask you, Marty, did you recall it yet? Do you remember?
I don't, man, and I feel horrible that I can't remember the exact time.
Oh, well, I mean, you know what? I didn't realize that, so maybe I just won't tell you so you can continue feeling horrible. Gloat. No, the first time that we ever made contact was over Facebook Messenger. You posted a thing on a Board Game Breakfast episode, and I was...
People were saying, keep going, do one more.
I think that maybe we can chat a little bit, but I think that we should save more episodes for next time.
Let me just say, everybody, I love that Chaz asked me look at the comments, look at the camera. That Chaz asked me to do this. I really appreciate it. If you like the two-person format, and if you enjoy me being on, let him know. Let me know. If you like, Chaz solo is amazing, but I had a ball doing this. Chaz and I are always looking, and he can attest to this, of things to do together.
Yes.
Behind the scenes, he and I are talking about many different things, not just board game stuff, but other things to do. So anytime that I get to work with Chaz, I absolutely love it. So I thank you all for tuning in and let me be a part of this, Chaz, and let me be a part of this to all of you who typically sit in and watch Chaz during these things. Thanks for opening your arms and chatting with me online. I'm sorry, Chaz. Now back to your...
Okay, actually, real quick, that's my major concern actually about this is I knew that having a second person here, we would talk more and there'd be fewer opportunities to answer chat questions. And so that's the main question I have is, the whole concept of TABLEscraps is to introduce a topic, talk for a minute or two, then go into discussions with the chat. So did the chat feel like you guys got gypped? That's my major concern. Did you guys...
Great question.
Yeah. So was there enough interaction with the chat? Let me know about that, because that's my major concern. Anyway, so you and Tony did a PSA on a Board Game Breakfast episode, and I can't remember if I Facebooked you or you Facebooked me, but one of us Facebooked the other one and said, hey, I liked what you did on Board Game Breakfast. You probably don't know who I am, but blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, yeah, I know, I like your stuff. And there's a little bit of that kind of initial thing. But that was just over Facebook.
Yes. Now, that I do remember that it was over each other's content that we liked each other's stuff. Because I remember it was the first time I saw you was on Board Game Breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But the first time that we saw each other in person, It was very hot, and there were gourmet hot dogs. Gourmet, Marty. Gourmet hot dogs.
Where was this?
It was at Gen Con.
I'm sorry, I was reading chats.
Oh, was it Gen Con 2015 or 2016? I think it might have been Gen Con 2016. I can't remember which one it was. They're starting to blur together. But it was Gen Con. And it was Geek Chic had this event at the local zoo in Indianapolis. And it was 105 degrees. And they had this little tent set up with gourmet hot dogs that they were giving out to everybody.
That's right.
Yep. And I remember I was with, I believe I was with Stephen Avery and Mark Streed, and we're walking around trying to make our way to you. I think we were texting. And I remember walking around the corner, and there you were, and you were just dappled in sweat because it was so hot. I remember the other question was, what was your first impression? And my first thought was, oh my gosh, he looks so sweaty. I hope I don't look as sweaty as that. And I looked down and I was just drenched as well. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm making a terrible first impression because I look terrible.
That was not 2016. It was before that because my family was with me.
It must have been 2015.
And my family hasn't,
Oh, to continue. I'm sorry. What?
My family was with me, right? During that zoo thing.
I think
that was only 1 year they did that. It was a Geek and Chic. It was just 1 year they opened up the zoo. I'm positive they were. Because that's when we also met Scott Morris and his wife for the first time, and our family walked around with his family for a bit.
Okay. Yeah.
It was only one zoo thing, right?
Yep, there's only one zoo thing. Yeah, because Geek and Chic was gone by the next year. They actually...
That was either 2014 or 2015. Not 2016. Okay. Guaranteed, because... Positive for 2016.
Okay. It must have been 2015 because 2014 I think was the year that I almost went to Gen Con, but I chickened out because of just anxiety stuff. And I watched all you guys having the great time on social media posting about Gen Con, thinking, man, if I can go, I'm going next year. So it had to have been 2015 then.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it. That was the first time we met. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, we're both so damp.
Now I remember it. Yeah, I remember you were with Mark Streed. I do remember that. I don't remember Steve Avery being there, but
yeah,
sure it was.
Yeah, he wandered away. He went to go ride a big air car thing or something. They had a big thing on a pulley. I'm pointing up here so no one can see it. But they had a big like a air car thing on a pulley, like I just said. But he wandered away. But yep. And I remember the very first time I met Rodney Smith from Watch It Played. I was at, it must have been 2015. I think it was a Gamma Come and Play Day in Seattle, Washington, June of 2014. I think it was 14, not 15. But Scott Morris invited me to go to the Gamma Come and Play Day, and I was like, he was working with Arcane Wonders at the time, and he actually contacted me and said, hey, would you like to come to it? I was like, me? Really? And at that time, I had maybe been doing videos for, I don't know, less than a year. And I was like, you want me there? So anyway, I grabbed my camera and I went. And I actually went and hooked up with some of the people that were running it. And I was in this room putting together the goodie bags, the swag bags. I was like, how can I be helpful to you guys? So I was actually helping the people at Gamma assemble the swag bags in this room. And Rodney was recording come and play videos in the room next door. And there was like this placard up, recording in process, Watch It Played. I was like, oh, Rodney Smith is in there. And I was doing the swag bags, and then the door opens a little later, and this guy walks in, and it was that moment of, I know that guy from somewhere. I reckon, oh, that's the guy from the video. That's Rodney. And said hi and everything, and he grabbed something and went back to recording, and we chatted for just like a minute or two. But that was that moment. And the weird thing about that with Rodney was a little bit you too, but mostly since your audio, it wasn't as much. But
he was sweaty.
Yeah, just as sweaty. Rodney walks in. Sweat. And
then you thought, am I that drenched?
What? Yeah. And there were animals all around for some reason, just like at the zoo. Steve Avery wandered off.
Gourmet hot dogs?
Gourmet hot dogs, yeah. No, but there was that moment of, I know that guy. I don't recognize you in person yet because I've never seen you in person. I can't quite place who you are, but there's like, oh yes, it's that weird moment of recognition but not recognition. It was just really weird.
And I think the first time I met Rodney was. So did you know him at 2015 at Gen Con then?
Yeah, because I think it was 2014 was that Come and Play Day, and like Rodney and I got to spend like maybe out of the whole 3-day event, 45 minutes together, if that. Okay. So it was, and it was the first time. So it was very, very formal, very, oh, hello. But yeah, Gen Con. Sorry.
So then I think I met Rodney in 2014 at CMON Expo.
Okay. And that's in May. So that would have been before Origins and Gen Con.
Yeah, he was down there, and we had kind of chatted online, and I was like, I'm going to be there, and it's like, hey, just kind of buzz me, and I'll come say hey to you. And I was in there playing. I remember it was Run, Fight, or Die. That's designed by Richard Launius. I know that guy. And anyway, so I was demoing Run, Fight, Die, and he walks in and goes, hey, you're here, and I shook his hand and everything. And then later on in the day, we started hanging out and we started playing Star Realms.
Oh.
First time I ever played. Oh, you know what? I can look up whenever Star Realms came out is when I met Rodney. Okay. That's how I know. And then we just kind of hung out then. It's so interesting that we all met each other through basically online ways, Facebook Messenger or something like that. And then we get to a convention and go, hey, I'm not a creepy guy. Do you want to meet or something like that? And then I may be drenched, but I'm not creepy.
I'm covered in water for a different reason. Star Realms was 2014, so yeah, and that makes
there
sense.
You go.
Because,
so 2014.
That was the year. Yeah, and that makes sense because 2014 was the year that I stayed home from everything other than that Gamma Come and Play Day. But I watched all you guys meeting and having fun and swore that I wasn't going to let myself miss out on it again.
They're having fun. I want to have fun.
Well, that was not.
And then he got with this. It's like, this ain't any fun.
Yeah, no, what was I thinking? I'm gonna go work in a booth. Oh yeah, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird how often you can't remember when you first meet someone. But so that's why I think it's so special how I remember with you guys so much. Jamie Keggy from the Secret Cabal. I think it was Dice Tower Con 2014. I think it was 14. So it was, maybe it was 15. Oh, that year. I can't remember. It was 14.
Yeah, I don't know if Dice Tower Con's been going on that long.
Yeah.
From 14. Well, I don't think it's 5 years old.
I think they started in 2012 or 13. Anyway.
Really? That old?
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was that old.
It was the 7th one, this last one, wasn't it? It doesn't matter. The point is that...
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Jamie and his wife were just in the middle. They weren't even in the gaming hall. They were in like the hallway of the hotel, sitting at this table, just like having a drink or something. And I walked by, and I was like, oh, that's Jamie Keggy. I'm going to just... he wouldn't want to talk to me. And he stops me. He goes, hey! And he tells his wife, this is Chaz Marler. And he brings me over, puts his arm around me, starts telling me about him. So I'm like, wow, Jamie either knows who I am and likes my work, or he's been drinking more than I realize.
I was getting ready to say, that kind of reaction is a Jamie's been drinking reaction. Because even now, Jamie, after he's had a few drinks, coming through an arm around you. You know what? I like you, man. I like you.
I've seen that very thing happen.
I know. He has this look. Chaz, you're all right. You're all right, man. It's like, all right, you need to go to bed, dude.
Speaking of going to bed, I think that we should probably. We've been. It's been 3 hours now, and I'm afraid of monopolizing your time too much. So, but I want to thank you.
Oh, that ship left the station a long time ago.
What a charming colloquialism. I think I will add that.
I don't know what that means, but I think you just cussed at me.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us and hanging out there. I hope that this was entertaining in some regard, and I want to thank you for joining us and participating. And hopefully we will be able to schedule something again in the near future. But until then, take care, and we will talk to you again real soon.
Bye, everybody.